All right, good evening everyone, and we are having a delayed start in episode 9. So good evening, and we will be covering some major stories around Indian markets again. In case you are joining for the first time, myself Sumit Behel and my co host Dhanesh joining with me. And on every weekend, we cover some hottest story around financial markets, and that's what we're gonna do. And just want to ask my co-host, how are you doing? We just got some delay, 10-minute or delay, I believe.
All good, all good. Been 2 great months since we started, and really appreciate the love everyone has showed across platforms. And yeah, it keeps us motivated.
Right, right. And again, just sorry for the delay in case you were waiting, considering our streaming time is similar, which is 9, and we are starting close to 9:10. But we got some interesting stories again, and you guys must be wondering, like Dhanesh is actually known for making money from IPOs. So we will be covering certain upcoming IPOs, and but the hottest story is not about some IPO. It's about a big change in Indian markets. So Dhanesh, what's happening at the closing session in India?
So something weird happened, right? One random day, Nifty was trading around 24,600,
Mm-hmm.
and suddenly in the last few minutes, it closed up at 24,775.
Mm-hmm.
So it went up from a flat day of around 0.7, 0.8% up to almost 1.5 to 1.6% up.
And even if we see, there was no movement in the Nifty for entire probably I think what's
The
the
entire day. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then we saw 1% move in Nifty. And guys, this is not Nasdaq or S&P 500. Those guys are known for doing all this 2% gap down and suddenly closing 3% up. Those kind of things. But the prime reason behind this is there has been a change in how Indian markets gonna get closed. And the first day of this change was 3rd August, which is the chart here actually. So the change here is now earlier market used to close at 3:30, but at the moment things are changing. So you can clearly see on the screen, it was 3:30 was the official time for almost everything, whether it's your option, futures, or indices, almost everything basically. But at the moment, things are changing and things are closing at different time depending on their categorization. So it's not uniform closing time, and that's why
Right.
we saw those spikes and all.
So I think it's a basic concept like I would like to touch upon first that there's a difference between the closing price and the last traded price in the market.
Mm-hmm.
So the last trading price is the price that traded at 329 and the last second. But the closing price is usually the weighted average price from 3 to 330,
Hmm.
which becomes the closing price. So they take an average of the price fluctuations from the last 30 minutes. That's what used to happen
Hmm.
earlier. And it will still continue to happen for the cash stocks.
Yeah. So for stocks which are not in FNO, it's still same. So it's just
Yes.
200 odd stocks, I think, which are basically facing the heat of all this. And I'm not sure whether those cash stock must be feeling some heat in terms of volatility or volume. There is no such data at the moment. But on official note, like the closing time is still same for them. Just to explain it again, uh, I think Dhanesh has already explained how VWAP used to work in earlier case, and at the moment it's like at 315, FNO stocks will get freezed. I'm talking about the cash component of them, not the futures one. Let's assume Reliance stock, HDFC stocks. Those will get freezed, and the price you will be seeing will be the VWAP of last 15 minutes. And after that,
Yes.
your Nifty will also stop trading. Futures will be there, but the you can say the index component will freeze at that one price, right? And then there will be auction where people will be able to push orders similar to how orders get pushed in your morning session. I think pre-market, right? Pre-open, right? and then I think at 328 to 330 there will be some random pause, and that will be considered as the close on those stocks which are in FNO. And considering Nifty is anyways derivative of 50 stocks, right? So Nifty will also have a different closing, and that's why we saw this thing in the last picture. Just putting it again here, you can clearly see it was trading at similar level for 10 odd minutes, and then we saw this spike.
Yeah. So, to give more background, this gas is not just an Indian thing. Most global markets run a closing auction where instead of taking the average price, they actually pool in all the closing orders and find the one single equilibrium price. So the end goal by SEBI is actually genuinely good. Like they want better price discovery, and because what happens is these big institutions that run the index funds, index ETFs, and passive ETFs have to trade at the close, and they execute large number of orders, right? So this allows the price not to whipsaw too much. Otherwise, you usually you see sometimes last tick moment the price shoots up a lot. So
Right.
gas itself is at the crux not a very bad idea.
Right, but the problem is almost uh, like in my connection, the option traders I know, the smarter ones stop trading honestly, and some people who take risk, those guys are just. Uh, we can clearly see it's a gambling thing at the moment, because on expiry, let's assume you are holding certain call options or put options, and then you know suddenly you see 200 point spike, even 100 point spike will actually convert those options 5 times, 10 times, right? And that actually happened on the first 2 days. Then this gap actually came down, but this was the issue. And one of the major issue was like, whoever I know who manages good money, most of the guys are not doing swing trading or other things,
Yeah.
some breakout, those kind of thing. It's those guys are managing good sized books of options only, and mostly option selling. And option selling actually relies on two things. So number one is your decay, like theta decay, which happens due to time constraint, and number two is directional, which is anyways there. So but major component why people sell option is to eat this decay. And you must have seen, right, during budget or those kind of things, let's assume there is expiry near budget, but
Hmm.
budget is at 11 o'clock. Now budget is event, right? So from 9 to 11, it's highly unlikely that decay will happen, and the reason is market is actually anticipating an event, which is actually a real event, right? Like there will be budget, but at the moment closing time is the new event, and we saw that people who sold options, those price were just not falling down, uh,
Yeah.
and people face this thing.
So I think there are two things. One, the retail investor should be happy, right? In 15 minutes, they are increasing returns by 1% daily. They should thank SEBI.
Yeah, but I think those things eventually get cancelled out, right? Even I saw, right? I think the biggest beneficiary was arbitrage fund, right? So
Yeah.
in case people don't know, like arbitrage funds, other funds which actually deal with certain inefficiency in the market, you can say. Basically, those guys buy stocks, sell futures or buy stock. Basically, they are trying to see whether there is some delta in these two price. Like Reliance futures is trading at 15 or 100 odd, and in cash it's available at 1490, or those kind of gaps. So these funds actually trades make these arbitrage trades and make returns. So returns are usually very less in that case. But on that day, I think I was tracking 10 funds. 7 out of 10 funds had their highest return of lifetime. Like usual return for such funds is on daily basis it's 0.04% or those kind of things. On that day itself, it was half percent.
I mean, the concept behind the options and all is actually like being exposed in a way, right? Because this entire concept of closing auction actually works with very liquid and where there's diverse liquidity and institution, market makers, and all are competing to price the close together. But
Mm-hmm.
in India, there is no smooth discovery because we do not have the capability right now to absorb those large order imbalances that were happening.
And honestly, like you were mentioning, right? It's normal in multiple countries, right? But I think in most of those countries, everything closes at the same time, right?
Yes.
Here there is gap, right, which is creating this issue. Like at 3:15, um your cash component get freezed. And one more thing which is creating these gaps, in case you are wondering why we didn't see any down move at the moment and just up move, in those orders you cannot create fresh short position in stocks. So let's assume in last 15 minutes I want to buy Reliance. Let's assume for whatever reason, right? I can place a fresh long position, right? 100 shares of Reliance at whatever price. But I cannot short it, like I cannot sell it. I need to hold that stock in my portfolio, only then I can sell it, right? And
Yeah.
if I am holding, let's assume 100 shares of Reliance and I want to sell, why the hell I will be selling in such window which is illiquid, right? I had entire day from 9 o'clock to 3:15. Why I will be focusing to sell my shares into this window? That is also one issue because I think in USA you can just short your cash stocks. In India,
Yeah.
that's not
And in
possible.
India, it's not, yeah, like the securities lending and borrowing is very shallow and there's limited opportunities to take any advantage of it. And yes, you're right. Like what separates India is that timing overlap. So,
Mm-hmm.
like I read recently, America settles on the close and trading stops at the close at the same time. For example, if you take 3:30.
Mm-hmm.
In Germany, also the auction starts and the expiring contracts stop in the same second again.
Mm-hmm.
In Europe, the main index options settle on a midday average, so they don't go near the close. And in Hong Kong, actually, this they tried running the same closing auction, and the markets crashed, so they had to suspend it.
Yeah, and they actually released this in a phased manner, I think, later on. And I think Hong Kong
Yeah,
did it in
after a few
2008,
years.
probably 18 years ago. So, in fact, I read somewhere that SEBI was also looking to introduce this thing from 2013. So it took him 13 years, and what we got is this random spike, right, after 13 years of execution. So, and we got certain comments, okay. Yeah, and we forgot to mention this, like, it's just not a one way thing where we guys will be talking, and we would like to have your views on this, your feedback on it, your opinion on things on the stream itself. So we would like to see participation from you. You can comment on X live stream, or if you are watching this on YouTube, you can again comment there, and we will be taking on those comments. And
So,
so, yeah, go ahead.
would you like to tell me, like we said, right, retail investors were benefiting by the Nifty up move, but we spoke about arbitrage funds also benefiting. But who are the biggest losers here then, other than option traders?
I think biggest losers are actually option traders only at the moment. As we like, I think most of these guys will be able to manage this thing, funds and all. But for option traders, like it used to be a bread and butter thing. Like those guys used to do this zero DTE, on final day of
Yeah,
expiry, and then suddenly you see it's like you need to meet some people who trade option, and when you meet them, some sane guys are like, there are two types of option sellers actually. And in case you are not aware of what is option selling, uh, it's basically selling an option and it can go multifold. Like your loss is not limited, it is unlimited, right? So that's why I said there are two type of option seller. Whenever there is event, so options actually get expensive. So most of the people, and
yeah,
obviously volatility increases, right? So some traders, some option traders stop trading in that phase, while some actually enjoy it. Like they are getting huge premium to play, and if they are able to manage it, but obviously less amount of success. But most of the guys don't really like trading around events. Uh,
right.
and if we gonna consider that every closing day will be event, then how it's gonna work for them? So obviously option traders are the biggest loser at the moment.
To give an example of the volatility increase that Sumit is talking about, that usually happens near events, was happening because of cash. So if you see, we have the top 15 Sensex constituents where the normal 5% 5-minute move is within 0.1% for majority of the top 15 stocks. But due to the closing auction session, you could see the spikes were upwards of 0.5%. So that's like 5x the move of what usually happens. And that is a option seller's nightmare, right? That's why they avoid events and other key like budgets and other things. So
Right.
this is a pictorial representative of what the moves were happening.
Right. Yeah, and if you look at this thing, these heavyweights generally don't move. So just to summarize this table, on the left side you are seeing the average range of these stocks and what happened during closing auction session. So that's why we are calling it, these spikes will hurt people, and not just option traders. There must be some people who must be doing these, STBT, BTST, right?
Yes.
I think it hurts them also. Like 15, let's
Yeah.
assume we managed to find some breakout at 310, and for us market closes at 315, right? And then who knows what happens in the auction session if
Last
Nifty
15
gets
minutes. Yeah.
right. So let's assume we are trading with 2% stop loss, and some stocks actually show this movement. We can see even this ICICI Bank doing 1.3% movement, and and these are the liquid names in FNO. Just imagine some names who actually don't deserve to be in FNO but still there, right? So those
Yeah.
those names are like Naveen Fluorine type of names,
Yeah. The new entrants will again face
Yeah.
the similar issue that Nifty faced when it got cast for the first time.
Right, right. So that can be dangerous. And anyways, one more thing, I think Reliance, HDFC, these guys are holding so much weight in Nifty. If you are able to just hurt their price in that auction thing, right? I think both of them makes up for around 16 odd percent size, probably more,
Right.
18 odd percent. So if you can make them move, I think 3% is the maximum range in this price where you put bids. Uh, three, like you cannot place more than 3%. So it's not like me and Dhanesh will be like, let's take Reliance to 2000 in one day, and we will be putting our orders, and that will be the highest volume. So after auction, it will be decided that Reliance just doubled in 15 minutes. That's not the case. So there is a
Yeah.
3% limit, but 3% limit is huge for such names which are heavyweights and does not move during entire day. So that's been the case, and let's see what happens. Traders are definitely not happy with this thing.
Yeah. I think people who have skin in the game really realize, right? The
Yeah,
cost of volatility and new changes without enough consideration.
that's the case. Let's see what happens from here on. All right, and let's move on to the next story, which is one of the favorite of all retail investor actually. And yeah, we are talking about SIPs. I think we got 147 viewers. I'm assuming 135 would be doing SIP, just assigning a rate of 90%, right? So, like, would you like to explain this graph for now?
So it's like a structural change that has happened. It was earlier only a niche segment of Indians that used to have the guts or even thought of investing in equity direct or indirect through mutual funds. But now you will be an outlier if you don't do it. So it has become a structural theme in India, and we can see it through the contributions of SIP, where we crossed upwards of 30,000 crore month on month. And equity funds have logged, I think, 60 plus consecutive months of inflows till I think May, which is a record inflow that they've had. And it's basically simple, right? Retail money is now a price insensitive monthly, and buy the dip has become automatic because
Hmm.
you have mandates that if salary comes on 31st, one of the days you decide, and that day the fund automatically buys units in your name. So we are providing liquidity directly to the market, nonetheless of how the performance has been.
Right. It's just a blind bet because we have been sold that story, right? In 20 years, we all will make, few crores by just investing few thousand. So that's the reason why this thing has grown up 10x in last 10 odd years, I think. And COVID was one of the biggest trigger. You can even see it. Our SIP book was just around 10,000 crore, even less than 10,000 crore during COVID actually. And we have done this 3x. So in last 6 years. And one more
And
thing, market wasn't like this. Buy the dip culture is pretty much famous in USA. Their market is doing exceptionally well, right? But we have like seen I think 2 odd years of no returns. But still our buy the dip culture is still growing strong despite having no returns.
I mean, there's this behavioral risk, right? Like this entire generation has only seen SIPs go up until last year. I think they've never seen their money going in negative returns, right? And it that belief has come that SIP plus time is guaranteed wealth creation because that's how it has been sold by the entire industry, right? And this is untested against a brutal and long bear market, right? We have not had one in ages, and we all used to, seeing double digit upwards of 20% returns. And everyone used to make fun of Rakesh Unjanwala saying, 20% return, I'm a king. Because the mutual funds you were giving 30% returns that time. So yeah, it's pretty much untested of how this entire thing is going to hold up against probably tough market conditions or tougher returns.
And let's see, at the moment, I think entire India believes, there used to be that show, Kaun Banega Karodpati. Everybody used to have this aspiration of going onto that show and making, I think, final prize was what, 5 crore, I think.
7 crore.
7 crore, okay. So, and there used to be, you need to answer, you need to SMS some easy question, and then you go on to Mumbai, and then you make 1 crore. Those that thing has changed, and now people people want to become crorepati, but after 20 years. And this is the segment, like this SIP is a thing which is being sold as enabler of this thing, and let's see how it plays out. It has worked out for few people obviously, but this current generation is facing this 2 years of negative returns or flat returns. But at the moment, not a very huge structural damage you can see on the chart. Still people are pumping their money. So that's been the case.
Yes.
And to
So do you
explain
think
it,
we should get an expert to discuss this
yeah, yeah.
further?
To explain this further, we have a special guest today with us, and we just adding him. Hi, Manish.
Hey Sumit, hi, how are you?
Yeah, so just to introduce Mr. Manish Dhawan, so he runs Mystic Wealth from more than decade, I think now, which used to provide strategies in momentum factor strategies and bunch of other investment strategies. Currently, he is working on Inflow, which is based on mutual funds, and that's why we wanted him here because he will be able to decode this. And considering I think he got experience probably like I'm 27-year old, half of my age or more than half of my age. So hi Manish, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for disclosing my age. Uh, how are you?
I'm doing pretty fine. So yeah, so just wanted to know like how this SIP thing is blowing up, and how is the thing inside the industry, considering you are working on these strategies, and what sort of investors you usually meet, and what are their expectation, like do they think like this the way we were explaining, or is it different?
So, to be honest, Sumit, it's early days yet for me as well in this industry. It's just been 7, 8 months, the mutual fund part. But the I can see the euphoria and the change that has happened. SIP is like a household name now. Uh, the thing is, of all the retail portfolios that I was able to get from people, So when we started initially, what we did was this small exercise where we requested our existing advisory clients to at least share their momentum portfolios with us, so we could have a look at that as to what's happening and if we can add any value. And what we noticed was that जो hype है असल में retail portfolio is not really enjoying those kind of returns. In fact, it's like a khichdi of all the things that they have accumulated. And so I'm not sure the NAV return that you see on the mutual fund figures is the actual figure that the retail is enjoying. So yeah, this is what insight that I got so far.
And before we explain it further, like we will be, digging deeper into this. I just want to know how's your journey, like because there are various type of investing, right? And how did you get started? Like when you started investing, probably in, I think, 20 years ago, most likely, right? You must have started
2011, yes.
2015 years ago, right? So, what sort of styles you tried? What were some of the biggest? You can say you feel like I have cracked it, and then certain disappointment from it. Like you realize, okay, this was just a luck. And how did you arrive at the style which you follow at the moment?
So, first of all, you'll never be able to say that you've been able to crack it. Market humbles you every day. Uh, Anyways, 2011 is when I started, and I started with a concept of subsect of value investing, which is spin-off investing. I got interested in the markets after reading the book by Joel Greenblatt. You can be a stock market genius. So I started replicating that in the Indian markets, the spin-offs, the demergers. Uh, पहले तो मैं side by side job के साथ कर रहा था. Then it started picking up steam, and I started making pretty decent amount of money. Probably because of the luck factor. Uh, and then I decided to leave the job and do it full time. So I started managing money for friends, family, ex-employers, etc. एक ही काम कर रहे थे. We were just investing in, it's like a one trick pony. We were just doing value investing on spin-off investing, demerged picks को sum of the parts की calculation करके, if the sum of the parts is bigger than the whole, and then that's what we were
Hi.
betting.
So I
Also, yeah.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. Actually, we are getting that issue, audio issue. So just a request to you, like, could you please rejoin the stream once, and let's see if
Sure.
that can get fixed. Thank you, and sorry for this thing.
Not a problem.
And in case you guys feel this in the stream, please let us know so we can fix it. And this was a glitch we were actually facing that caused the delay. But let's see if that works out now. So hi Manish, like, are you able to hear me?
I can hear you all right.
Yeah. Can we get a quick feedback from the public comment section? Like, is there still any audio issue? So we can continue the story.
Yeah, I just received a message that was echoing earlier.
Can somebody please give feedback on us, like if audio is working fine, so that we continue the story and it makes sense to put efforts, else you will not be able to hear this.
So I think I should be speaking because your voice was not echoing anyways. Mine was, right? So guys, tell me if it's echoing. I think it's working fine now.
All right,
Because
I think we got it.
earlier I was able to hear my own echo as well. Now I'm not hearing it at least.
Okay, I think we got a go ahead from comments also, like it's better now. Cool. Sorry for this interruption, Manish, also, and sorry to everyone. But yeah, let's continue. So yeah, you started investing in 2011, and you were telling that you were trying all of the people were trying this similar kind of thing. Yeah, please continue now. Let's do it
Yeah,
in a more slow manner.
sure. I started with spin-off investing, and that was working beautifully. Both me and my partner were doing this, and so later I graduated to what is called as momentum investing. I got interested in what was the research that was coming out of US, and I started experimenting it with small amounts of money. And little did I realize that I started increasing my allocation to momentum and less to value. So I left value for Daya to handle, and I completely shifted to momentum. The reason why that happened was that I realized that the momentum bit, is more in sync with my personality compared to the value bit. Although, to be fair, I made majority of my money, if I could count my total net worth, from the value bit. Although momentum later picked up as well, we were able to convert 1 rupee into 8 in our momentum portfolios as well. Uh, and the reason, like anytime a youngster come to me, uh, which one to choose between the two, this is what I insist on. You need to find the strategy which suits your personality. Problems तो दोनों में आने वाली है, drawdowns तो दोनों में आने वाले हैं. But अगर वो strategy आपकी personality के साथ suit करती होगी, then you'll be able to withstand those drawdowns and you will not throw in the towel. And so I figured this out late, that value is not my cup of tea. Momentum is. I need to have an exact exit plan in place. मुझे पहले से पता होना चाहिए कि मैंने कितना allocate करना है, कहाँ निकलना है. Everything has to be rule based, and this is the reason I chose the second one. So we did this momentum investing bit. We were SEBI registered RA and RIA both. We had a small case offering as well for both the products, momentum and value. Then in 2025, we decided that RA/RIA is probably not something SEBI appreciates, and PMS is the way to go, and so that's when we shifted. Now both our offerings are available as of now. And for the retail at large, who doesn't have the 50 lakh portfolio, we also have an Inflow mutual fund distribution platform where we time mutual funds, and we are doing the same trend following overlay systems on mutual funds.
Okay, so just want to know, like, I know a bit about momentum investing. Like, for audience, it's like I think buying what is going up, right? It's that kind of thing, but with certain rules, right? Uh,
Pretty much. So the underlying assumption is जो ऊपर जा रहा है वो ऊपर जाता रहेगा जब तक a bigger force doesn't stop it. Of course, the mean reversion would kick in, but mean reversion की cycles लंबी हैं और momentums की cycles छोटी हैं. The whole idea is to capture that part of the alpha before the mean reversion kicks in, and do it in a rule-based way where there is no room for discretion. आपका buy भी decided है, आपकी क्वांटिटी भी डिसाइडेड है, आपका एग्जिट भी डिसाइडेड है. एंड व्हेन यू बैक टेस्ट दिस ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम, आपको नहीं फर्क पड़ रहा कि इंस्ट्रूमेंट क्या है. यू विल हैव 20 स्टॉक्स, लेट्स से टेक एग्जांपल ऑफ स्टॉक्स, 20 और 30 स्टॉक्स. उसमें से कौन सा घोड़ा कमाल करेगा आपको नहीं पता, बट इन द ओवरऑल स्कीम ऑफ थिंग्स द पोर्टफोलियो विल डू रियली वेल. वो 28-30% CAGR जनरेट करेगा. नाउ द विन रेट वुड बी पैथेटिक, एंड दिस इज द ब्यूटी ऑफ इट. लाइक on any given trade, the chances are that you are expected to make a loss. So it's worse than a coin toss. मतलब coin toss में भी 50% चांस तो होता है कि आपका tails आएगा, right? If you're betting on tails all the time. Momentum investing में हमारा coin toss से भी खराब odds है. There's only a 40% chance कि आपका trade positive होगा. But we will still make a lot of money because of the edge and the alpha involved, the gap between winners and losers. Our winners are usually 3x our losers. And so when you keep churning this over and over again, even with a 38-42% win rate, you end up making a lot of money. This in nutshell is what momentum investing is.
सो इट्स लाइक जैसे आईपीएल ऑक्शन में होता है कि आईपीएल में तो 11 ही प्लेयर खेलते हैं, बट ऑक्शन टेबल पे आई थिंक 25 के आसपास आप बाय कर सकते हो. एंड ऑब्वियसली
Correct.
25 प्लेयर जो ऑक्शन टेबल पे आ रहे हैं तो उनको खेलना तो आ ही रहा है एक स्टैंडर्ड का, राइट? एंड देन जो
Correct.
फॉर्म में है, क्योंकि आईपीएल जल्दी जल्दी निकल जाता है कि 4 दिन में एक मैच हो रहा है, आप किसी को इतना टाइम दे नहीं सकते, तो यू आर पुटिंग द प्लेयर हु आर इन फॉर्म एंड जस्ट बेटिंग कि वो चलते रहेंगे, अगर नहीं चलेंगे तो हमारे पास पूरी स्क्वाड बैठी है, राइट? इट्स लाइक दैट.
करेक्ट, करेक्ट, द फॉर्म वुड कंटिन्यू एंड दिस इज अ परफेक्ट एग्जांपल. अगर आप आईपीएल का ही एग्जांपल एक्सटेंड करो, सो यू रियलाइज लॉट ऑफ टाइम यू विल एंड अप विद डट्स. आपने करंट फॉर्म के बेस पे एक प्लेयर के लिए इतना ज्यादा पैसा दे दिया दैट यू, उसके बाद वो पूरा साल खड्डा चला नहीं एंड सारा पैसा वेस्ट हो गया. एंड दिस इज बाउंड टू हैपन. आपको मोमेंटम इन्वेस्टिंग में भी कितनी बार इतनी ओवर एक्सटेंडेड नेम्स आप खरीदोगे और वो वहीं से मीन रिवर्ट होना शुरू हो जाएंगे जहां से आपने खरीदा था. Because again 60% of our bets are going to go wrong, but the idea is जो चलेंगे वो 3x more चलेंगे losers से, and so overall scheme of things you will make money.
एंड वो सिमिलर ही है, लाइक अगर कोई टीम जैसे 11 प्लेयर्स भी खिलाती है तो उसमें 5-6 बैट्समैन होते हैं. एंड आई थिंक अगर T20 में 2 बैट्समैन भी चल गए, 2 ही काफ़ी होते हैं. लाइक टेस्ट मैच और वो फॉर्मेट अलग चीज़ है, लाइक बट अगर 2 ही लाइक अच्छे स्कोर कर देते हैं, पावर प्ले में डोमिनेट कर देते हैं, तो दैट्स गुड इनफ. लाइक एंड आई थिंक दैट्स द क्रक्स हेयर इन मोमेंटम इन्वेस्टिंग ऑल्सो, कि कुछ विनर्स होंगे लेकिन वो विनर्स इतने बड़े होंगे कि जो आपके लूजर्स है वो सब कवर अप, राइट?
That is correct.
Okay. So I knew a bit about momentum investing earlier also, but I want to know about this new thing. You told me that कि you are also trying to play this thing in mutual funds. म्यूचुअल फंड्स में अभी तक जितना हमने देखा है वो यही रहता है कि आप म्यूचुअल फंड ले लो, कोई ये नहीं बताता कैसे लेना है, कौन सा लेना है, ले लो और 20 साल तक SIP करते रहो एंड मिलेंगे 25 साल बाद मिलते हैं, आपके पास शायद 2-3 करोड़ होंगे और अमीर हो जाओगे आप. तो इसमें आप ये कैसे फ्रेमवर्क यूज़ कर रहे हो?
So to be fair to the current buy and hold ज्ञान of the SIP thing, I'll give you that वो गलत नहीं है, वो सही है. I tell you why. Because see, as far as SIP is the small component of your overall portfolio, this particular line of thought is well and fine and it's valid. Because see, SIP is not a strategy. वो कोई strategy नहीं है, वो मजबूरी है. आपकी सैलरी या आपका कैश फ्लो महीने के महीने आ रहा है तो वो महीने के महीने डिप्लॉय होना है. दैट इज नॉट अ स्ट्रैटेजी, दैट इज अ मजबूरी, वो तो आपकी कंपल्शन है. तो ऑल्टरनेट टू एसआईपी इज व्हाट? नॉट इन्वेस्टिंग, राइट? तो इसलिए जो पैसा आ रहा है वो आप इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हो, यू जस्ट डूइंग एसआईपी, व्हिच इज वेल एंड फाइन. See, when this SIP amount starts accumulating and it becomes a huge component of your total net worth, then SIPs stop making any sense. Because now you have a lump sum amount for all practical purposes. अब आपके पास लेट्स से 60 करोड़ का पोर्टफोलियो है और आप 50 लाख की SIP कर रहे हो. 50 लाख की SIP is just 0.8% of your overall portfolio. That is not going to add any value to the overall portfolio. अब your portfolio is vulnerable to the vicissitudes of the market. वो एक drawdown आपके पूरी नेटवर्थ का बैंड बजा देगा. Now you cannot do SIP. Now you have to do timing, and any advisor who's telling you कि lump sum amount पे भी SIP करते रहो और आंखें बंद कर लो, buy and hold करो, is doing a disservice. When your accumulated amount is big enough part of your entire net worth, you need to watch it very cautiously, and you need to deploy timing models, asset allocation models, so that the drawdown is within your pain threshold. क्योंकि वहां ऊपर से जब आप नीचे गिरोगे, audience is intelligent enough to know वो drawdown can be life changing, and to claw back to that drawdown is not just double the effort. I mean, you know this, right? अगर आप 50% गिरे तो आपको 100% मूव करना है वापस वहां पहुंचने के लिए. And leave alone that time, it will take you good 3, 4, 5, 6 years to reach back, claw back to the same area, same place जहां पे आपने अपने सपने बिछाए हुए थे अपने पोर्टफोलियो के साथ, अपनी बेटी की एजुकेशन की, और whatever you wanted to do with the money, or maybe some real estate you wanted to buy. So my point is, this buy and hold and continue to buy is a very good thing if you're doing SIP and your overall corpus is very small. But once it's become substantial part of your portfolio, of your net worth, you need to get into the timing mode where you know what you're doing, you have exits in place, you're timing it. My entire point, Sumit bhai, is that we know markets are gyration. Up and down hoga hi hoga. Fear and greed plays out. It's a pendulum that's happening. When you know this, how can you not time the market? I mean, Warren Buffett का buy and hold example देते हैं लोग. He's probably the biggest timer we have ever seen in the world.
And in fact, I was reading a book written on him. So उनकी जो 1960s या 70s वाली जो इन्वेस्टमेंट है, he used to be very concentrated. उसकी वजह से probably he became what he is today, and not कि index.
Two very important points. A, he's concentrated. He was concentrated all throughout, and go through. I will love to share this with you. I don't have it handy, but I think we have shared it on Twitter at least. His average hold time on a particular stock, you will be shocked out of your wits. Those 5 winners, वो तो catapult हो गए, and then he held on. He had no reason to sell them. But usually 1 साल से ज़्यादा hold period नहीं है भाई का. 8 months, 9 months, that's how you're selling. 3 years to maximum hold period हुआ करता था. One business cycle, and he's churning them.
And I think that is also fine. Like some people think कि किसी कंपनी में पैसे लगा दिए तो they are like business owner, और you know कि इसका अभी हर चीज ट्रैक करेंगे, क्वार्टरली अर्निंग्स, और बिल्कुल डेप्थ में जाके you know इसको like अगेन अपना बिजनेस अपना ही होता है, लेकिन जिसमें आपने पैसा लगाया, इट इज नॉट नेसेसरी कि आप पूरी पिक्चर यू आर एबल टू गेट इट, राइट?
Correct.
So
You are a minority shareholder. Stop fooling yourself thinking that you own the company. And even if you, for that matter, let's just say, let's rule out the possibility of a fraud. Let's rule out the possibility of promoter duping you or siphoning the money. Let's say सब कुछ सही भी चल रहा है, and it's a genuine promoter. Even then, my partner Varanya gave a beautiful example of a company. He said, last 10 year में सबसे अच्छा CAGR किस कंपनी का? I want you to make a guess, Sumit. बताओ किस कंपनी का?
in India,
Yeah. आप नहीं guess
in
कर
India
पाओगे, but
could be some small cap name. ऐसे तो मतलब क्या ही guess होगा, बट मुझे ये पता है कि सब लोगों को उम्मीद थी कि ये HDFC बैंक वगैरह होंगे, बट इन्होंने तो बहुत डिसअपॉइंट कर दिया.
So Lloyd's Engineering is that company. Some 80% CAGR in the last 10 years. Okay. Or 63%, yeah, 80%, I'm not sure. But crazy CAGR percentage. It has made serious wealth for the people. But now, here's the kicker, the question. कितने लोगों ने लिया ये? किसी ने भी नहीं लिया होगा. Because आपको drawdown लगने लगा है. हाँ, exactly. एक बार था 60% drawdown from top to bottom. और एक बार तो था 83% ड्रॉडाउन फ्रॉम टॉप टू बॉटम. अब 83% ड्रॉडाउन कौन हैंडल कर सकता है यार? And same thing is playing out in mutual funds as well. You see these flashy news coming up showing you 16% CAGR, 17% CAGR. Average retail, and nobody talks about it, nobody markets it. Average retail gets half the return of the total CAGR that the mutual fund is propagated. Half, which is like a FD return. आपने इक्विटी जैसी जायरेशंस लेके FD जैसी रिटर्न लेनी है, तो आप FD में क्यों नहीं रह रहे फिर?
हाँ, मतलब half in the sense, like people claim 12% and you are telling me that investor only makes 6%, and that too with up and down all this.
Correct. I got shocked. The reason is the behavioral gap. 2020 में सारे छोड़ के जाएंगे, and 2021 के boom में सारे लेके आएंगे. And so your average will be half of what the mutual fund anyway is showing. Case in point, silver. सबसे ज़्यादा silver ETFs कब बिके?
I think in January.
Right at the peak in January.
Right.
एकदम टॉप पे ही सारा माल चेक दिया गया. I mean, here's a simple heuristic for you. I mean, if you're a retail investor listening to this, fire your distributor if he was the one selling you silver ETFs and silver mutual funds at top of January. That's it. It's as simple as that.
And the thing is, उस टाइम स्टोरी भी ऐसी चल रही होती है कि शॉर्टेज हो गई, ये हो गया, ऐसा हो गया, वैसा हो गया. सेमीकंडक्टर में, ईवी में, हर जगह सिल्वर लगेगा, एंड सिल्वर की डिलीवरी नहीं हो पा रही. लाइक दैट वाज अ स्टोरी की इंडस्ट्री में सिल्वर चाहिए एंड उसकी डिलीवरी नहीं हो पा रही, तो उसका लोग प्रीमियम दे रहे हैं, इस वजह से प्राइस बहुत ऊपर जा रहा है. एंड आई थिंक अभी वो 50% ड्रॉडाउन आ गया शायद सिल्वर में, $120 के आसपास शायद गया था. एंड
it's been a vertical fall. So there was this very interesting thing that happened in one of the societies in Gurgaon where they had invited some jeweler to come. So one financial analyst actually suggested that this we are in very heated zone. We should be squaring off these positions. And आपका भी silver जो है आप बेच दो. You know the aunties hounded this guy. It's like shut up. You just shut up. You equity guy. Just shut up. This is our time now. अब silver 5 लाख पे जाएगा या 10 लाख पे जाएगा या whatever.
हाँ मतलब ये तो यूजुअली गोल्ड के लिए होता है कि ठीक है वुमेन यू नो लाइक्स बाइंग गोल्ड एंड ऑल एंड इनफैक्ट आई आल्सो ट्वीटेड कि सम टाइम वी आर स्पेंडिंग सो मच टाइम टू फाइंड यू नो गुड स्टॉक्स, लेकिन ठीक है मार्केट यहीं चल रही है एंड देन वी सॉ किसी ने मजाक मजाक में ठीक है ये टाइटन के यहाँ जाके कुछ ज्वेलरी खरीदी है उसकी ग्रोथ हमसे ज़्यादा हो गई है डिस्पाइट मेकिंग चार्जेस इन ऑल राइट, बट सडनली
Yeah.
सिल्वर
Why
वाज
was
आल्सो
making
पॉप्ड
fun of
आउट.
me at that point of time? Her CAGR was better than mine when this euphoria was happening.
एंड मतलब मेरे को ऐसा तो कोई नहीं मिला कि जो सिल्वर पे इतना बोले, लाइक सिल्वर यूजुअली सिल्वर ज्वेलरी भी इस तरीके से नहीं, आई डोंट नो वो पहले का ही कुछ खरीदा होगा बार्स वगैरह या ओकेजनली राइट, बट
Correct.
अगर उस पर भी इतने एक्साइटेड हो रहे हैं कि दिस इज आवर टाइम, लाइक गोल्ड का मुझे समझ आता है कि गोल्ड दिखता है रोज, दिख ही रहा है रोज राइट, एंड देन या यू आर राइट कि उस टाइम कुछ भी चल रहा होता है लोग किसी भी तरीके से बाइंग करते हैं.
Yeah, this
सो
is not just. Yeah, please.
Yeah, so I just wanted to ask like जनवरी से अगस्त 50% ड्रॉडाउन एंड जस्ट वांट टू ऐड ऑन एक्चुअली कि आपने जैसे बोला था ड्रॉडाउन फॉर ऑडियंस, इफ ड्रॉडाउन इज सिंपली कि पीक पे आपका कितना पोर्टफोलियो चले गया था अमाउंट, सो लेट्स अज्यूम आपके 100 रुपये हो गए थे कुछ भी इन्वेस्ट करके एंड देन वहाँ से आप 50 पर आ गए हो 50, अब 50 से 100 जाने में यू हैव टू डबल योर मनी, 50% गेन से आप 75 तक ही पहुँचोगे. सो इट्स नॉट लाइक 50% लॉस किया एंड 50% गेन किया तो बराबर, ऐसा नहीं होता है. एंड मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल डोंट नो दिस मैथ्स.
Right, and this math start getting really fucked up after this. ये तो 50 का 100 चाहिए. जैसे अगर आप 2008 में सारे म्यूचुअल फंड 70, 80, 90% गिरे थे, आपको पता है अगर आप 90% गिरे तो आपको वापस आने के लिए 900% रिटर्न चाहिए.
राइट एंड उस टाइम मेरे को उस टाइम तो इनफैक्ट मैंने तो 2008 वो नहीं किया, लेकिन 2020 इटसेल्फ आई थिंक निफ्टी फेल जस्ट 34% एंड 2008 में इट फेल व्हाट 60 odd percent आई थिंक.
Yeah.
या सो
68,
30
yeah.
odd, सो 30 odd percent में ही मतलब लोगों का वो हो गया था कि खत्म है अभी सब, इट्स ओवर लाइक.
वो तो this is a very good point, Sumit. The V-shaped recovery basically saved us. अगर V-shaped recovery नहीं होती, आप ये जितना भी SIP का कॉन्फिडेंस देख रहे हो ये सब का सब धरा का धरा रहेगा. I mean, at low of COVID, 10-year SIPs were net negative, regardless of the market cap, large, mid, small cap, सबके सब 10-year SIP. सोचो 10 साल से जो रेगुलरली मेहनत से SIP कर रहा है वो नेट नेगेटिव है. वो तो वी शेप रिकवरी आ गई. लेट्स से वी शेप रिकवरी नहीं आती और एक साल तक हम नीचे ही रहते, जिसने एसआईपी करनी है वो सब छोड़ दी होती.
इनफैक्ट बहुत
छोड़ ही दी होगी, आई एम प्रीटी श्योर. या
सो 10 years इज लाइक यूजुअली पीपल व्हेन इन्वेस्ट इन मार्केट्स तो 12% का हिसाब लगाते हैं कि रूल ऑफ 72 से कि 6 साल में डबल. ऑल द एसआईपी में सीएजीआर मैटर नहीं कर रहा, एक्सआईआर मैटर करता है, बट स्टिल रफ मैथ्स ये लोग लेके चलते हैं कि 6 साल में डबल एंड देन सडनली यू सी कि 10 years रिटर्न्स आर नेगेटिव. दैट्स डेंजरस. सो लाइक हाउ आर यू ट्राइंग टू सॉल्व दिस? लाइक एज आई सेड अभी तक म्यूचुअल फंड का क्या रहता है मैं बताता हूँ. जैसे मेरे बैंक अकाउंट है तो यूजुअली क्या रहता है, सर इन्वेस्टमेंट करनी है आपको, तो जैसे पूछ लेता हूँ कहाँ, तो वो बोलेंगे अभी जैसे सिल्वर चल रहा था तो कमोडिटीज़ फंड में कर लो क्योंकि उसकी रिटर्न पिछले 2 साल की अच्छी है. अभी डिफेंस स्टॉक्स चल जाएंगे तो वो बोलेंगे ये अच्छा है. फिर आईटी स्टॉक्स जैसे अभी गिरे हुए हैं, लेकिन आई थिंक 2022 में ये स्टॉक्स चल रहे थे, सबका था कि ये डिजिटल फंड आया है, ये टेक्नोलॉजी फंड है, इसमें लगाओ आप पैसा, राइट. एंड इस मतलब इस तरीके की एडवाइस मिलती है. बट व्हाट इज़ द राइट फ्रेमवर्क टू सेलेक्ट इवन फंड्स? लेट्स अज्यूम कि ग्रीड फियर और वो सब तो मैनेज हम कर लेंगे, ऐसा अजम्पशन कर रहा हूँ मैं वैसे, बट like what is the right way to invest through these instruments?
So what we have done, I mean I don't know the right way or not, but with whatever little knowledge that we have, what we have done is we tried to simplify everything. पहली बात तो खिचड़ी नहीं बनानी. You should not have कि आइसक्रीम ले चले और वनीला भी दे दो, बटर स्कॉच भी दे दो, लार्ज कैप भी दे दो, मिड कैप भी दे दो, एंड ऑफ द डे आपने एक बेसिकली पूरा खिचड़ी गुलदस्ता सा बना लिया, यू एंड अप हैविंग सम 600 स्टॉक्स, basically पूरा index पूरा market ही खरीद लिया. When you bought the entire market, which is the case, by the way, we did this exercise, we got in the portfolios of our advisory clients. हर किसी के पास 8 से 12 का पोर्टफोलियो है, 8 से 12 म्यूचुअल फंड्स का, सब कुछ ये है, आपके पास यूनिक नेम्स 600 है, बेसिकली सारी मार्केट है, तो आपको मार्केट जैसी रिटर्न ही मिलेगी. So to cut that down, we have basically done in the core portfolio, आपके पास सिर्फ 3 ही फंड होंगे. We'll get a factor exposure of momentum, we'll get a factor exposure of quality, and बाकी थर्ड स्लीव है डेट, which is basically a cushion dry powder, जिसको हम डिप्लॉय करेंगे दोबारा इक्विटी में जब ड्रॉडाउन्स आएंगे. सो पहली बात तो खिचड़ी नहीं बनानी, सिर्फ 80 टोटल स्टॉक्स होंगे, 50 होंगे मोमेंटम के, 30 होंगे क्वालिटी के. दैट्स इट. दिस इज हाउ वी विल राइट द एंटायर मार्केट. पॉइंट नंबर 2, डेट स्लीव. अब ये डेट स्लीव क्या करेगी? लेट्स से 20-30% ड्रॉडाउन आया, हम अपनी डेट स्लीव को इक्विटी में कन्वर्ट कर देंगे. वी विल ट्राई टू टेक एडवांटेज ऑफ द डाउनफॉल, उन्हें वही इक्विटी को सस्ते में खरीदने की कोशिश करेंगे, एंड दिस विल ऐड अनदर 1.5-2% CAGR टू आवर किटी. सी द आइडिया सुमित इज कंपाउंडिंग सिर्फ तभी हो सकती है व्हेन यू स्टे इन द मार्केट फॉर लॉन्ग, और यू विल ओनली स्टे इन द मार्केट फॉर लॉन्ग जब आपका इक्विटी कर्व स्मूथ होगा और खड्डे गहरे नहीं होंगे. अभी तक जितनी भी रिटेल एंजॉय नहीं कर पाई रिटर्न स्कोर कंपाउंडिंग को, वो इसलिए है कि जायरेशंस बिकम्स बिगर देन देयर पेन, और वो वर्स्ट पॉसिबल टाइम पे बाहर निकल जाते हैं. जब आपका पास एक 30% ऑफ द पोर्टफोलियो डेट स्लीव में रहेगा, देन दैट विल बेसिकली क्रिएट अ ब्यूटीफुल क्वेश्चन. अब अगर निफ्टी 68% टूटी है अगर कोरोना में, तो हमारा पोर्टफोलियो 24% टूटेगा. 24 इज वेल विद इन द पेन थ्रेशोल्ड ऑफ पीपल. 68 पे अच्छे अच्छे छोड़ देंगे सब कुछ. I'm talking about 2008 कोरोना में तो 34% टूटी थी. Whatever it will be half of whatever the Nifty is cracking. So this is one part of how we are trying to solve it. The second part is what we bring to the table, our domain expertise. All these years we've been timing it. We were timing stocks earlier, now we are timing mutual funds. तो हमने एक सैटेलाइट पोर्टफोलियो बनाया है जिसमें सिर्फ टाइमिंग मॉडल होगा. 5 बेट्स एट एनी गिवन पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम होंगी, 20% ईच, और उसमें कुछ भी हो सकता है. उसमें कमोडिटी हो सकती है, गोल्ड सिल्वर. लाइक लास्ट ईयर वी वर लॉन्ग गोल्ड एंड सिल्वर, एंड वी वर एबल टू राइड द एंटायर जर्नी, एंड क्लोज टू द टॉप आवर एग्जिट केम, एंड all our clients were able to make money there. Abhi just recently we have gone long on gold again, and because ये सारी correction के बाद it's looking ripe and ready for the next move. And ये 5 जो sleeves हैं इसमें कुछ भी हो सकता है. We can have commodity, themes, even countries. Like for example, I'm really liking Brazil these days. The only way to play that is HSBC has a product for Brazil that is setting up beautifully, and that is also coming in our algorithm. So net to answer your question, we basically divided the portfolio into core and satellite. Core is basically just 3 products: quality factor, momentum factor, and a dead sleeve, which is a dry powder which can be redeployed. And in satellite, we have 5 sleeves, 20% each. Again, algorithm decides कहाँ momentum आ रहा है और कैसे उसे write करना. That's it. That's how you play the game.
Okay, so you are not chasing any AMC or fund manager celebrity status hype or those kind of things. You have
another very important point. We have not, and I tell you what, nobody can. This is hindsight bias, Sumit bhai, and survivorship bias. See, how do you select a good fund manager? See, in 2011, not 11, 2014, I was recommending PPFAS left, right, and center to all my family, friends, and clients, because we spotted this huge gap between the industry and what these guys were doing. They were true to their word. The value investing that they were doing was actually value investing. You could see, and they were small, which is very important. And so the alpha was right there, and we were able to capture it. How do you select a good fund manager? My point is, as a retail, if you can select a good fund manager, उसके अंदर जितनी effort चाहिए, उतने में तो आप stock selection भी खुद कर सकते हो. ये आसान होता है हाइंडसाइट पे देखना। अभी इन करेंटली आप क्या बोलोगे? PPFAS is a great fund manager, मैंने सेलेक्ट कर लिया। See, who was that famous hockey guy who said Wayne Gretzky, who said the idea is to be where the puck's going to be, not where it has been. रिसेंसी में पिछले 3 साल के या पिछले 10 साल का विनर देख के आपने ये थोड़ी डिसाइड करना है कि अगले 10 साल भी PPFAS अच्छा करेगा। I mean, I'm sticking my neck out. They will just be either beating index or slightly beating index because of their cash call. Otherwise, with that size, this is it. Finding PPFAS is no rocket science and no big deal. There is no alpha in it. Alpha is in finding someone smaller, and वो इतना आसान नहीं है ढूंढना. So you are better off discarding this hero worshipping and do index investing. दूसरा इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट सुमित ये है कि पहले अल्फा जनरेट करना आसान था क्योंकि फैक्टर्स थे ही नहीं मार्केट में। अभी म्यूचुअल फंड्स हैव वोकन अप फाइनली। एक्चुअली हमने भी बहुत एडवांटेज उठाया सुमित, आपने भी मोमेंटम इन्वेस्टिंग की, हमने भी की, जब म्यूचुअल फंड्स मोमेंटम में थे ही नहीं। वी वर एबल टू जनरेट इजी रिटर्न्स एंड वी वर एबल टू बीट डेलाइट्स आउट ऑफ म्यूचुअल फंड्स। अब फैक्टर इन्वेस्टिंग म्यूचुअल फंड्स में भी हो सकती है। अब आप बीट करके दिखाओ मोमेंटम के नॉर्मल फैक्टर फंड को एज अ एक्टिव म्यूचुअल फंड, बहुत मुश्किल है।
So for people who are not aware of factor investing, it is basically a kind of a framework, like Manish explained कि there is a momentum framework which he explained कि जो चल रहा है वो चलता रहेगा, that's a core belief. तो जो भी ऐसे फंड होंगे जो ये बोलता है कि वी आर मोमेंटम फंड, तो वो इस बिलीफ पे इन्वेस्ट कर रहे होंगे, राइट? एंड देयर आर मल्टीपल फैक्टर्स, मोमेंटम इज वन फैक्टर, राइट?
That is correct. So momentum is one factor, value is one factor, quality is another factor. Size can be a factor, like small cap has a alpha over large cap. Of course, drawdowns are crazy as well, but these are all factors.
All right. And we also got a question that most SIP investors, I think जो अभी नई breed है, have never sat through a multi-year bear market. As you said, कि V-shaped recovery आ गई. Let's assume a hypothetical scenario कि अगले 3 साल भी निफ्टी ऑल टाइम हाई नहीं बना पा रहा है, then what do you think what these guys will be doing?
पहली बात तो SIP जो अभी करंट स्टेटस पे हो रही है, it's pretty funny as well. The whole concept of SIP is dollar cost averaging. Dollar cost averaging मतलब जैसे जैसे कोई नीचे गिर रही है मैं वैसे वैसे खरीद रहा हूँ। Like for example, IT is a great candidate for SIP investing. पिछले 5 साल में उनका CAGR है 3%. Right? Let that sink in. So आप more and more units accumulate करते जा रहे हो जैसे जैसे वो गिर रहा है। As a percentage मुझे बताना कितने लोग IT में SIP कर रहे हैं? कोई नहीं कर रहा। Majority of money of SIP money is going into handful of 40-50 stocks. जो मिड कैप के 150 यूनिवर्स है उसमें टॉप 50 स्टॉक्स में ही सारी SIP का पैसा जा रहा है। तो वो डॉलर कॉस्ट एवरेजिंग तो हो ही नहीं रही, वो उसको गिरने ही नहीं दे रहे। ये तो पिरामिडिंग हो रही है। यू बाइंग मोर एंड मोर एज इट्स गोइंग अप, एंड यू नो व्हाट द प्रॉब्लम विद पिरामिडिंग इज, वन डिप एंड एवरीबॉडी इज इन रेड, M2M रेड हो जाएगा, एंड दे हैव नॉट सीन इट। 2/3 of total SIP book is less than 3-4 years old.
Yeah, and
सारे अभी आए हैं।
राइट। एंड इनफैक्ट मैं भी ये देखता हूँ, लाइक जितने भी जो ऐसी एमसीएज हैं जिनका जो AUM है वो लार्जेस्ट कह सकते हो आप, टॉप 5 जितने भी जैसे ये हो गया कि लार्ज, मतलब कोई भी कॉन्ट्रेरियन थिंग तो ट्राई कर नहीं रहा है। ऑनेस्टली मोस्ट ऑफ द गाइज व्हाट दे आर डूइंग इज कि ठीक है ये फंड मैनेजर है, ये इस यूनिवर्सिटी से है, ये इस तरीके के सर्टिफिकेशन है, इतने साल का एक्सपीरियंस है, बट जब मैं उनका फंड्स ब्रेकडाउन देखता हूँ, इट्स यूजुअली जो निफ्टी के कॉम्पोनेंट्स है उसी को 1-8% ऊपर नीचे, जैसे निफ्टी में रिलायंस है 8-9%, सो उनके फंड में वही चीज़ होगी 10%। HDFC बैंक की वेटेज है 9%, उनके फंड में उसकी वेटेज होगी 7%। तो ऐसे तो मतलब मेरे को
वर्क। सो मैं आपको इंसेंटिव बताता हूँ, दिस यूज्ड टू वर्क ब्यूटीफुली कि आपको निफ्टी को कुछ 2-3% से बीट करना है, आप आराम से कर सकते हो, कर सकते थे, क्यों आप पूरा निफ्टी को क्लोन कर दो, इसको इंडेक्स हगिंग बोलते हैं या क्लोजेट इंडेक्सर्स बोलते हैं। आप 90% उसको इंडेक्स को हक करते रहो, बस 1-2 महीने जब कोई डिप आएगा उसका फायदा उठा के 10% जायरेशन कुछ वैल्यू बेट ले लो, वो जो अल्फा जनरेट होगा 2% CAGR का, आप आराम से बोल सकते थे कि सी वी आर बीटिंग द इंडेक्स। This doesn't work anymore after the introduction of the factor word. Abhi, you're not competing with Nifty. You're competing with a proper factor. Abhi, अगर a momentum fund is totally capturing the up move of the market, why would retail not buy that factor and buy your mutual fund, which is just hogging Nifty?
ओके, सो यू आर टेलिंग मी कि ये एक पहले अच्छी स्ट्रेटजी थी, बट एट द मोमेंट इट्स जस्ट नॉट वर्किंग क्योंकि सम अदर थिंग्स आर ईटिंग अप द अल्फा ऑफ दिस एंड विच इज फैक्टर इन्वेस्टिंग. एंड वन मोर थिंग, लाइक I haven't invested in these factor funds at the moment. Like, what is the difference in expense ratio? Like, just for everyone, expense ratio is the fee which fund manager charges from you for managing your money. So एक तो इस तरीके के ओपन एंड फंड है कि मैं अपनी मर्जी से लगाऊंगा, मेरी टीम है, मैं रिसर्च, मैं फैक्ट्री विजिट करूंगा, सब कुछ करूंगा, एंड देन फिर मैं बताऊंगा क्या बाय सेल करना है. तो आई बिलीव उनका एक्सपेंस रेशियो काफ़ी हाई रहता होगा इन कंपैरिजन टू योर फैक्टर फंड्स.
करेक्ट. सो फ्लेक्सी, जब भी आप किसी कंपनी का फ्लेक्सी कैप लेंगे, सो इवन एज अ म्यूचुअल फंड, सुमित, अ म्यूचुअल फंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर, माय इंसेंटिव इज इन सेलिंग यू अ फ्लेक्सी कैप. आपको फ्लेक्सी कैप बेचने में मेरी को जो एएमसी कमीशन देता है वो काफी ह्यूज है. ऑलमोस्ट 1% कमीशन मुझे मिल जाती है अगर मैं फ्लेक्सी कैप बेचूं तो. लेकिन अगर इंडेक्स बेचेंगे तो आपकी कमीशन वही है 0.3, 0.5. एंड सो बिकॉज रिटेल को भी इसी डिफरेंस पे ही बिल किया जाता है. द चार्जेस आर ऑलमोस्ट डबल इन केस ऑफ फ्लेक्सी कैप वर्सेस फैक्टर फंड.
Okay, because the thing is, on factor funds, I think those guys are anyway saying कि एक algorithm के पीछे चलेगी ये चीज, right?
हाँ, क्योंकि किसी को कुछ नहीं करना, वो फंड मैनेजर है पर उसको खाली एक हर महीने एक बटन दबाना है, महीने भी नहीं, हर क्वार्टरली बटन दबाना है और रीबैलेंस करना है. दैट्स इट.
Okay, okay, all right, and okay. So, and one more thing I wanted to ask, when you were explaining कि आप 80% अपना पैसा मोमेंटम फैक्टर में लगा रहे हो एंड आई थिंक 20-30% आप जो डेट में रख रहे हो, राइट? तो उसमें कैश ड्रैग नहीं होता होगा कि अगर बुल मार्केट चल रही है तो आप सिर्फ 80% और ही इन्वेस्टेड हो?
यस, यस, उसमें ड्रैग डेफिनेटली होता है. सो इट इज इन द आर्बिट्राज फंड. वो आर्बिट्राज आपका जो भी 4-5-6% कमाएगा. बट आवर बैक टेस्ट क्लियरली सजेस्ट दैट ड्रैग इज टोटली वर्थ इट बिकॉज इट हेल्प्स यू स्टे पुट. आपका ड्रॉडाउन कम रहेगा, आप बने रहोगे, बशर्ते कि आप लेट से 100% मोमेंटम में चले जाओ. वो रिटर्न्स तो बहुत अच्छी दिखती हैं, 19% CAGR, पर वो जो गहरे खड्डे हैं उसमें आप छोड़ के चले जाओगे तो फिर फायदा ही क्या.
ओके, ऑल राइट. सो आई थिंक एंटायर गेम हेयर इज कि आप जब चीज़ें सस्ती हो रही है तो आपके पास एक वेपन होना चाहिए यूटिलाइज करने के लिए. एंड दूसरी चीज़ ये है कि आप ये भी सेव कर रहे हो जो एक्चुअली स्क्रीन पे नहीं दिखता. लाइक आप किसी भी म्यूचुअल फंड को देखते हो तो वो ऊपर दिखता है ये 5 साल की CAGR है, उसमें ड्रॉडाउन नहीं होता, उसमें कोई रिस्क एडजस्टेड रिटर्न्स नहीं होती, ये सब नहीं होता. एंड आपका फोकस बेसिकली ये है कि
उसमें ये भी नहीं लिखा होता कि कितने लोग ये रिटर्न ले पाए. अगर वो लिख देंगे तो सेल्स बंद हो जाएंगी म्यूचुअल फंड्स की. आधे कोई भी नहीं ले पा रहा, आधी रिटर्न मिलती है रिटेल को.
ओके, एंड सो इन योर केस यू आर टेलिंग मी कि बेस्ट म्यूचुअल फंड खरीदने से ज़्यादा या बेस्ट इंस्ट्रूमेंट खरीदने से ज़्यादा इट्स मोर इम्पॉर्टेंट कि आप पिच पे कैसे खड़े हो. एंड आप जब पहले दिन से इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हो या डिज़ाइन कर रहे हो अपनी स्ट्रैटेजी, इन्वेस्टिंग स्ट्रैटेजी, सो व्हाट यू आर ट्राइंग हियर इज कि आप उस चीज़ के लिए प्लान कर रहे हो कि जब अच्छा होगा तो ठीक है, मतलब फ्लैट विकेट होगी तो सभी रन बना लेंगे, ठीक है, बट जब बेकार विकेट आएगी उस दिन हम सस्टेन कर पाएंगे या उस दिन हम, मतलब आप उसका इंश्योर कर रहे हो एक तरीके से कि बिहेवियरल जो टेंडेंसी होती है, राइट, लोगों की, उसकी तरफ आपका ज्यादा फोकस है इन कंपैरिजन टू मैक्सिमाइजिंग रिटर्न.
करेक्ट. मैं एक लाइन में बताता हूँ. आपने ये फेमस बात सुनी होगी, बाय व्हेन देयर इज ब्लड ऑन द स्ट्रीट.
राइट,
है ना?
राइट,
What if it's your blood, which is the case. तो अगर आप पैसे होंगे तो खरीदोगे ना, जब आप पूरे फुली डिप्लॉयड थे, नाउ देयर इज ब्लड ऑन द स्ट्रीट, वो आप ही का खून बहा हुआ है, अब आप खरीदोगे कैसे? दिस इज द रीजन वेयर दैट डेट क्वेश्चन कम्स इन हैंडी. व्हेन देयर इज ब्लड ऑन द स्ट्रीट, you convert your debt into equity and you go full all in.
ऑल राइट. सो अगेन इट्स दैट थिंग जो स्क्रीन पे नहीं दिखता है कि रिस्क एडजस्टेड रिटर्न कैसी है, या वो 5 साल की CAGR दिख रही है लेकिन उसके थ्रू आप बैठे थे उस टाइम आपने क्या फेस किया, ये सब आप ये सब लेके प्लान कर रहे हो एक तरीके से, मतलब वो सिनेरियोज प्लान कर रहे हो कि यू बिलीव कि हाउ यू डू थिंग्स इन एक्सट्रीम केसेस दैट डिफाइंस दैट कैन ऐड और रिड्यूस योर रिटर्न, राइट?
That is correct, Sumit. And the motivation of doing this is because while I was running MWM advisory, uh, I had the same problem that mutual funds were having. Uh, 2018-19 के drawdown में 2/3 of our clients left us because we had a drawdown of 28%, and not many people were able to handle it. And so ऑन पेपर आप बोलो कि 2017 से लेके 2025 तक we did really well. 1 rupee became 8, which is pretty awesome. But वो 1 rupee to 8 मिला किसको? Again, the behavior gap ruined everything. And so to ensure that this doesn't happen and we are able to not just get rich ourselves, also handhold people, everybody should get rich, make a product which is sustainable for everyone to tag along. वो pain threshold से बड़ी नहीं होनी चाहिए. That's the entire game.
ओके. सो या इट्स लाइक अगर दो चॉइस मिलती है कि एक में आप 15% CAGR बना रहे हो, 15% ड्रॉडाउन है उसमें, एंड एक में 20% CAGR बनाओगे, लाइक अगर मैं आपको इंश्योर भी कर रहा हूँ कि बनाओगे लेकिन 40% ड्रॉडाउन आएगा. सो इट्स अ बेटर आइडिया टू, लाइक मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल विल बी बेटर विथ फर्स्ट ऑप्शन, क्योंकि सेकंड ऑप्शन सब बोलेंगे कि हाँ हम झेल लेंगे, 20% CAGR वॉरेन बफेट की भी है, और हम झेल लेंगे 40% ड्रॉडाउन. बट वो एक्चुअली जब बात आएगी झेलने की तो फिर लोग नहीं झेल पाते. दैट्स द केस, राइट?
That is correct.
Okay, and apart from that, you were explaining that satellite thing. So, do you combine these two portfolios or keep that satellite option as a different trading kind of bet, or do you merge it? Like satellite portfolio की एक हो गया core portfolio, that is your 20-30% debt and rest of your factor funds, right? And then you talked about this satellite thing. So, like, is it offered along with this thing, or do you recommend कि ये combine करके ही चलना चाहिए, या it's a different kind of thing कि किसी को high risk game खेलना, so that's why?
So usually how I solve this uh, is the SIP component is your core part of the portfolio जो आप consistently डाल रहे हैं. Whereas when that amount becomes huge, or if you coming to me straight away with a bigger amount, and bigger is a relative term, bigger to your net worth, then you want more control on your portfolio, and so you want to have more timing models, and satellite is for you. Uh, we do it separately. See, we are not advisors. We are mutual fund distributors. So we leave it for the clients to decide how much exposure they want for each.
Okay. So, whatever I am able to understand from this conversation is कि your philosophy is very simple कि जब कम पैसा है आपके पास, यानी कि कोई start कर रहा है, like अभी trend है कि job लगी and then you are investing and all, तो it's okay, whatever you are doing is absolutely fine. But जब
Correct.
portfolio एक बार decent size हो जाए and decent varies for every other person, then you need something else. Then these things cannot, plain vanilla long cannot work for you. I mean,
Yes,
it
it
will
won't.
work, but on personality level, it will affect you so badly.
यार we'll go with the base case scenarios. यार बोलना तो बहुत आसान होता है कि of course लोग चार्ली मंगर कोट करना शुरू कर देते हैं. Charlie has said anybody who cannot withstand the vicissitudes of the market, 50% drawdown अगर आप नहीं ले सकते once in a while, that then you not cut out for the market. आपका भी नेटवर्क सुमित, I don't know, whatever it is, 5 crores है, मैं 2.5 करोड़ गायब कर दूं, आप रात को सो नहीं सकते यार, फालतू की बात है ये.
Right. So वही है कि स्लीपिंग, एनीवेज स्लीप इज़ वन ऑफ द इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग, और लोग एक्चुअली उस पर वैसे भी फोकस नहीं करते हैं, और मार्केट तो नींद उड़ा ही देता है, लाइक थोड़ा बहुत भी ड्रॉ डाउन हुआ, सो दैट्स द केस,
Yeah.
राइट? Okay, we have a specific question which is ki, like how you run your portfolio. So in that case, how do you manage churn? Like, are you consistently doing buying, selling? At least in satellite, I think satellite sleeve, or like how do you look after it? क्योंकि churn को लोग negatively देखते हैं. एक कॉमन व्यू है लोगों का कि अगर कोई बहुत ज़्यादा बाय सेल कर रहा है, इट्स अ नेगेटिव थिंग. व्हाट्स योर
Yeah.
ओपिनियन ऑन दिस थिंग?
In a mutual fund, why is it a negative thing? आपने short term capital gain tax देना है. Anyways, हम एक साल से ज्यादा होल्ड नहीं करेंगे. I mean, would love to, but in a swing trading setup that satellite is, ऐसा नहीं होगा. आपका जैसे even the gold trade that we did or the silver trade we did last year, वो भी एक साल नहीं रुका. 9 months में निकल जाएगा, 8 months में निकल जाएगा. So you will pay short-term tax. But even overall scheme of things, when your drawdown is less and your CAGR returns pretty awesome, what's wrong in paying your short-term capital gain tax? That's the whole point. And in your core portfolio, of course, you can hold on and you can pay long-term capital gain. वहाँ पर because the debt sleeve is protecting you, तो आप long-term hold कर सकते हैं उसे throughout. उस पे SIP करते रहें, 10-15 साल तक करते रहें.
ओके ओके. एंड वन मोर क्वेश्चन, लाइक सब सब लोग एक्चुअली एडवाइस करके चले जाते हैं कि आप ये फंड करो, ये स्टॉक ले लो एंड फिर लास्ट में एक डिस्क्लेमर डाल देते हैं कि प्लीज़ कंसल्ट योर फाइनेंशियल एडवाइज़र या इन्वेस्ट अकॉर्डिंगली योर रिस्क एपेटाइट. और अगर कोई बंदा ऐसे ऐसे व्यू कहीं और से बना रहा है तो ये मान के चलो उसके फाइनेंशियल एडवाइज़र तो है ही नहीं, ठीक है? एंड ये रिस्क एपेटाइट वाली चीज़, राइट? मतलब इस चीज को कैसे प्ले आउट करता है कोई भी? लेट्स अज्यूम एक बेस केस है, कोई नया बंदा स्टार्ट कर रहा है, उसको ये हमेशा दिखेगा, राइट? ये करो, ये करो, एंड देन लास्ट में कंडीशन है कि प्लीज कंसल्ट योर फाइनेंशियल एडवाइजर एंड इन्वेस्ट अकॉर्डिंग योर रिस्क एपेटाइट. लाइक हाउ डू यू डिफाइन दिस रिस्क एपेटाइट फॉर समबडी हु इज स्टार्टिंग, और हाउ डू यू आइडेंटिफाई कि मेरी रिस्क एपेटाइट है कितनी? मतलब कौन से फैक्टर इन्वॉल्व होंगे इसमें टू एनालाइज दिस थिंग?
वेरी टफ क्वेश्चन. मैं आपको इसको टू फोल्ड आंसर देता हूँ. पहला तो इफ यू आर यंग,
I think you got stuck.
लोग am I
Yeah. Could you please repeat?
audible?
Yeah. You got stuck. Yeah, you are
हाँ,
back now.
आपको ये आपको उल्टा एडवाइस मेरे ख्याल से तो कोई नहीं देगा, बट आई विल बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट एंड कैंडिड. इफ यू आर यंग, इट्स ओके टू ब्लो अप. See all the successful people that I have seen, at least in the stock markets, अगर आप ये full time कर रहे हो तो, are the ones who have thrown caution to the wind and did everything and were more than happy to blow up twice, thrice. Because अभी आप young हो, you will have time to claw back, फिर से सैलरी कमाओगे, फिर पैसा आएगा, फिर नया चीज. In this 3-4 blow ups, you will exactly know what you want to do. और एक बार आपको अपनी चाबी मिल गई सक्सेस की, then there is no looking back. So this is first advice. Second, what is your pain threshold? ये सुमित आपको खुद मैदान में कूदने के बाद ही पता लगता है. उससे पहले नहीं पता लगता. Like मैं यहाँ पे बैठ के कैसे बोल दूँ कि 20% should be your pain threshold या 30% should be your pain threshold. There are some daredevils जो value investing करते हैं, जो like my partner दया, वो he can basically see his stock go down 60%, but if he's committed and he knows the company, वो और खरीदेगा वहां पर. So you know, two people are safe.
But again, he must be doing it for years and years, right?
Correct.
Because momentum investing is relatively new and value investing usually sells. कि सबने ये देखा है, लो पी रेशियो आया तो जस्ट यही है मौका, बट वो लो पी रेशियो धीरे धीरे नेगेटिव भी हो जाता है, एक्चुअली जीरो के नीचे भी चले जाता है जब कंपनी लॉस वगैरह खाने लगती है, राइट? सो in your philosophy, do you look at these PE ratio and bunch of other things, these valuation multiples, or no?
So my funda is totally opposite. So there's this research done in US. William O'Neill did this amazing research, and he concluded that 4% of total US stocks attribute to all the returns that have ever been made. Let that sink in. मतलब 96% of US stock market is कचरा. just 4% attributes to all the alpha that was ever generated. Point one.
Okay.
Point two, point two, majority of that run in these companies happened at crazy P's of 70 to 1000. जब उनका PE एकदम crazy था. So in fact, the opposite is true. If a growth company is available at low PE, you should not buy it. Its game is over.
Okay.
It's very counterintuitive. PE is market way of telling you that it is valuing the company. It is giving the required value to the company. They think the company will do well. Whereas a growth company available at low PE, of course, there can be exceptions, and value investors try to find that exceptions. But usually, if a high growth company is available at low PE, market knows something you don't. उसकी game over हो चुकी है.
ओके एंड वन मोर थिंग लाइक जैसे हमने कॉन्वर्सेशन स्टार्ट करी थी कि सबका ऑब्सेशन रहता है यूजुअली कि मल्टी बैगर्स एंड ऑल, सो आई वांट टू डिग डीपर इनटू वन मोर थिंग विच इज़ पोजीशन साइजिंग. जैसे आपने बोला कि आप एक टीम बना रहे हो, 20 प्लेयर्स हैं उसमें, एंड लेट्स सी कौन से चलेंगे एंड देखते हैं, उससे रिटर्न बनती है राइट कि कुछ ही चलेंगे एंड लेकिन वो इतना कर देंगे काम कि हो जाएगा काम ओवरऑल लेवल पे. बट सबका ऑब्सेशन रहता है लाइक मल्टी बैगर्स चाहिए सबको, यू नो कि ऐसा स्टॉक बताओ जो डबल ट्रिपल हो जाए, 5 गुना हो जाए. व्हाट डू यू थिंक कि हाउ फूलिश दिस इज, लाइक ऑन व्हाट लेवल? फूलिश तो नहीं कहूँगा बट
या फुलिश
इसकी
नहीं है.
इसकी
सुमित,
रेलेवेंस
I'll
कितनी है अगर आपको बाकी फैक्टर्स नहीं पता, लाइक कि इसको
So मैं
खरीदना
आपको
कब
एक
है?
बड़ा सा एग्जांपल देता हूँ सुमित. Everything works. There's this one value investor I follow and I really admire. Ashish Chugh ji hai. He's Delhi based only, and he's got a pretty awesome track record of multi baggers. 100 baggers मारे उन्होंने, 80 baggers, and not one, many of them. Avanti Field was one of them. उनका overall CAGR कितना है? वो घूम फिर के स्टोरी वहीं आ जाएगी. His overall CAGR is pretty respectable. 30-32% CAGR है. So he's compounded his wealth beautifully over the last 20-30 years. Or actually more, क्योंकि वो तो काफी पहले से है. And he has amassed a pretty decent fortune. बात घूम फिर के लेकिन फिर भी वही आ जाती है. Like आपने 100 बैगर तो देख लिया, पर आपने ये नहीं देखा उन्होंने कितने पत्ते फेंके थे.
Right.
हर किसी पे थोड़ा थोड़ा 100 स्टॉक्स खरीदे थे उन्होंने. एक 100 बैगर बन गया. 20 साल बैंकरप्टी हो गई कंपनीज, कुछ एवरेज रिटर्न्स बना रही हैं. ओवरऑल स्कीम ऑफ थिंग्स में 30% CAGR बन के निकला है. सो दिस इज हाउ इट्स अ VC गेम. आप बेसिकली एक वेंचर कैपिटलिस्ट हो. आप ऐसा नहीं है कि आपने 100 बैगर ढूंढा तो आपने अपनी सारी नेटवर्थ उस पर डाल दी थी, फिर आप बैंकरप्ट हो जाओगे.
हाँ मतलब इट्स एज यू सेड कि 4% स्टॉक ने सारी परसेंट रिटर्न बनाई है, सो 96% चांस है कि इफ यू आर जस्ट पुटिंग ऑल योर मनी इन वन स्टॉक, देयर आर जस्ट 4% चांस कि यू विल एक्चुअली एंड अप मेकिंग रिटर्न, राइट?
और भी नहीं होगा. या बिकॉज़ देयर आर अदर फैक्टर्स इन्वॉल्वड एज वेल. या
हाँ मतलब बिहेवियरल और ये सब तो अभी कंसीडर ही नहीं किया, राइट?
करेक्ट.
Those kind of things. And just for audience, like we will be taking your questions in case you are having certain questions for Mr. Manish. You can put it on X or YouTube. We will be covering it in a while. Apart from that, I would like to ask, I think risk appetite, yeah, one need to go into it. And one more thing I want to ask around momentum is, let's dig a bit deeper. Like whatever I have seen, momentum works really well in bull market, and then in choppy market it struggles. And I have seen when it crashes and the recovery phase, it again struggle. Like what could be the reason behind this thing? Like in the recovery phase, why there is a tendency that it may struggle, or have you observed this thing?
I have observed a pretty interesting thing, Sumit, that in the recovery phase, interestingly, value as a factor starts outperforming. It works far better than momentum. Reason मुझे नहीं पता. Maybe, of course, the obvious reason you can guess is that सारे value investors के mouth watering levels पे कंपनीज आ जाती होंगी एंड सो दे आर लोडिंग अप, इसलिए वो सबसे ज्यादा बाउंस करता है. मोमेंटम लैग्स बिकॉज ऑफ कोर्स वो 52 वीक हाई पर आने में टाइम लग जाता है. देयर इज दिस लैग थिंग विच जिसमें वैल्यू आउट परफॉर्म करता है. I don't know how to play this, but ये मैंने while we were running both mystical momentum and value, this is something I saw that 2020 के crash के बाद से Daya has been outperforming me for good 5 years. अभी फिर से दोबारा momentum has started doing well. So I think this is like a yin and yang यार, कभी उनका दिन होता है, कभी हमारा दिन होता है.
ओके, ऑल राइट. एंड ये तो मतलब देखा है इनफैक्ट ऐसे स्टॉक्स सुजलॉन टाइप, आई थिंक कोविड से लेके अब तक देखेंगे तो किसी भी क्वालिटी कंपनी से ज़्यादा रिटर्न प्रॉब्ली दी होगी सुजलॉन वगैरह ने, सुजलॉन और
Correct.
येस बैंक, दोस काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स.
Correct.
And I have a hypothetical question for you. Like, let's assume you are starting a mutual fund itself, and you want to design the website for it. Like, what are the factors you will be, what are the variables you will be putting into that website, or you can say a deck, जिससे आपके इन्वेस्टर्स को सिर्फ CAGR और ये सब ना मिले, मतलब it should be valuable info which they are getting. Like, how would you design that thing?
Very interesting question. Matlab, I don't know if it's an applicable question because I'm not going to start a mutual fund. But I think I think your question is coming from the fact how should you judge a mutual fund?
Or
So
maybe what are the things that we should be able to see and we are not able to see? I mean,
so
कि
there is
हमें
this
इतनी
one
पिक्चर दिखाते हैं
ratio.
and yeah.
So there's this one ratio you need to just judge uh, judge how much of closet indexing they are doing and how much the fund manager has the balls to think differently. He's willing to underperform in order to outperform. That factor changes judges men from the boys. So this is the factor you should be evaluating your fund manager on. If somebody is really in the game of alpha generation, he would not be a closet indexer and he will be buying stocks that nobody else is buying. So, like for example, I have respect for PPFAS. They're the first one and probably the only ones जो अभी IT खरीद रहे थे और किसी के बस की नहीं है वो. So this is one factor you're able to judge if somebody is willing to stick their neck out and are willing to be wrong.
Okay, so it's like doing contrarian things, or at least what industry is not doing. And
There's a ratio to it. I'm forgetting the name. You can calculate that ratio. वो number of stocks index की और इससे divide करके वो ratio calculate करके बता देती है कि what's your exposure and how much of a index hugger you are.
overlapping basically. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the way to quantify it.
Yes.
All right. And one more thing, like जैसे suppose I'm fund manager, right, mutual fund manager, and I want to deliver best returns for my investors, retail investors, but इसमें मेरे को as you said कि retail investor usually worst time पे पैसा निकालता है. मतलब so जो हम ये बात कर रहे थे कि हम देखते हैं बहुत सारे फंड्स ये कर रहे हैं कि जो इंडेक्स में है वही उसी को रेप्लिकेट कर रहे हैं एंड रिस्क नहीं ले रहे. तो इसमें दो फैक्टर आते हैं. आई मीन देयर कुड बी टू रीज़न कि वो ऐसा कर रहे हैं. नंबर वन इज़ कि दे डोंट वांट टू डू एक्सट्रीम रिटर्न्स, मतलब ऑन द डाउन साइड कि कुछ उल्टा ना हो जाए. सो आर दोज गाइज डूइंग दिस सिंपली बिकॉज दोज गाइज आर फीलिंग कि जब भी कुछ एक्सट्रीम होगा तो अवर इन्वेस्टर विल रन अवे. लाइक इज दैट थिंग popular because of this rationale, or like what could be the reason behind this?
Yeah, दो रीजन है ऑफ कोर्स. एक तो मैंडेट है. इफ दे आर स्लेव टू देयर मैंडेट, उस पे कुछ नहीं कर सकते. लाइक दे कैन नॉट टेक द कैश कॉल, तो वो कैश कॉल नहीं ले रहे. बट आई डोंट थिंक देयर इज एनी सच मैंडेट. लाइक PPFAS was able to take 25% cash call, all right? So the rules are similar for everyone. Second bigger factor I think can be the institutional imperative, which is to say सारे गिरे तो आपकी नौकरी को खतरा नहीं है, आप अकेले गिरोगे तो आप गए. So they would rather like to fail along with the market. You have a job risk if only you are falling whereas the market did okay. So इसलिए they basically like to be index huggers rather.
Okay, so it's like that ना कि एग्जाम होता है तो कट ऑफ कई बार, या स्कूल में एग्जाम है तो
Correct.
टॉपर हमारे कम मार्क्स आते हैं तो हम बोलते हैं कि नहीं नहीं वो टॉपर के भी इस बार थोड़े कम आए,
हाँ, इस
राइट?
बार कम आए, बिल्कुल. Yeah, yeah. This is how the industry works generally. I mean, I'm not from the industry, so take everything I'm saying with a pinch of salt. But as an outsider, how I see it, this is the huge institutional imperative I see how a fund manager usually thinks. And this is the reason, as a retail, this is how you can judge them. You will find a good manager is the one who's willing to look stupid.
Right, right. I mean, he will be willing to. There is that the road not taken, right?
Yeah.
He is not following the same path, right? And
Correct.
I think we have done this for almost 1 hour. And again, just a request to the audience: in case you are having certain queries, we will be taking it up on the stream itself, so you can push comments here. Uh, let's wait for the questions from the audience. And I can't even ask you those things actually, like what are your outlook on Nifty and all, because from now on I got to know like you are preparing for the worst, and if things goes up anyways, you wanna make money, right?
Not necessarily, Sumit. I'm not in the prediction game, so I don't know if we are
Yeah,
going up from here or yeah. But we have a plan in place, and that's the entire game.
yeah. Like if this happens, we will be doing this. That thing is there, so no need to worry about. It's more of a reaction. Like you are ready with your reaction. What how you gonna react if these things happen, right? Uh,
Both for my PMS offering mystical momentum and for our mutual fund offerings. The idea is रात को नींद सही आनी चाहिए और वो सब तब आएगी जब आपको exactly पता हो. Consider this as a chess game. तुम ये करोगे तो मैं ये करूंगा, तुम ये करोगे तो मैं ये करूंगा. Don't leave anything ambiguous and on discretion.
राइट, मेक सेंस. सो लाइक वी वर आस्किंग दैट क्वेश्चन ना कि आप अपना फंड अगर डिज़ाइन कर रहे हो, मतलब उसकी वेबसाइट, तो दीज डेज देर आर ट्रैकर्स जो स्लीप स्कोर ट्रैक करते हैं. आई थिंक यू शुड बी आस्किंग फॉर योर फ्रॉम योर इन्वेस्टर की हाउ इज़ योर स्लीप स्कोर आफ्टर इन्वेस्टिंग इन दिस फंड एंड ऑल.
Interesting.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, we got one question from Sonika, and that is, how are inflow mutual fund offerings are different from others?
uh, Inflow mutual fund offerings are different in two ways, Sonika. One is we are in our core portfolio, we are doing only index factor funds and we are not doing flexi active funds. So there is a difference in pricing there. Uh, the index factor funds are cheaper. Uh, and the second difference is the satellite offerings that we have, where we actually time the mutual funds. We are not your typical buy and hold mutual fund sellers who would say कि एक बार लो उसके बाद जिंदगी भर उसके साथ बने रहो. We believe that markets are a pendulum. Fear and greed happens, and we need to take advantage of these swings. And so the idea is to enter and exit to profit from them.
Cool. And it's mostly based on those factors thing and having those debt sleeve, right? That's a core framework you are working on.
That is correct. In our core portfolio, we also have a debt sleeve uh, to basically take advantage when the market falls. We will have some money to deploy that and take advantage of it. If you're fully deployed in your chosen mutual funds, usually, then you have no money to take advantage of the fall.
All right, all right. And at the moment, like, have you used this debt sleeve? That like I think
Yes,
inflow is new one, right? So
and
uh,
we are relatively new. We started in October, and even within this short period of time, we got an opportunity to use the debt sleeve in March. The March low that was made, we were able to deploy half of our debt there.
all right, that's nice. I mean, in just 6 odd months, I think 5 6 months, you got the opportunity,
Correct.
because people usually assume the cash drag will keep on running for probably years, right? So
It probably would. Like for example,
yeah,
closer to newer highs will again uh, bring back that deployed capital back into debt. But overall CAGR despite this debt sleeve. You'll be surprised, Sumit, does not hurt your CAGR. You still end up reaching around 16-17% CAGR with lower drawdowns, which is the idea. The idea is to stay put for 10-15 years. You can only do that when the drawdown is within your pain threshold.
Right, and I have one question for you. Like, I know it must be in your plan for sure. I mean, it may not happen. It may not have happened at the moment because the running operation is really short at the moment. Like, let's assume when we deploy this debt sleeve, how do we accumulate that cash again? I mean, how do we generate this debt sleeve to this 30% again? Like, what are parameters you use? Like we were 80% allocated to stocks, 20% odd we were holding in this safe instrument. Then the opportunity arises in March. We deployed it. Assuming, did you deploy it fully or like partially?
Half. We've deployed
Half.
half, yeah.
So when do we raise this level again? Like, what's the maths behind that?
So so there is no exact match to it. Closer to the new highs and little above the euphoria is when we will basically put it back into depth. Yeah.
Like, so any quantification of this euphoria or like how do we judge that?
So so this is not exact maths. So it's not quantifiable, and there's a bit of discretion involved here. So like as we speak right now, we have not moved back to the dead sleeve, and we are going to ride this rally.
All right. And anyways, the running operation is little shorter in terms of years. So we will see this equation probably playing out after a few years, right?
Correct. Correct.
All right. All right. Okay, I'm giving everyone 2 minutes in case you have questions and we will be taking them. Yeah, we can wait for questions. We got one opinion, that is people select fund manager by sorting fund returns of last 1 year, and probably that's the most common way as of now.
And that is so you basically essentially doing momentum investing on mutual funds. So I've done that as well, by the way, but it doesn't work because other you how would you select PPFAs then? आप 2014 में PPFAs ले ही नहीं सकते थे ये करते थे. So this doesn't work based on unless until you have an exit plan. See, probably it can work in the thematic world. उसमें भी 12 months is too big a window. Maybe 3 month window पे अगर आप themes को ऐसे momentum churn कर रहे हो, maybe that will work. But yearly is too slow for mutual funds, and then what is your churn? When are you rechecking it again? Is another question. आप एक बार लेके टॉप पे लेके फिर बैठ जाओगे, you will do coffee can investing in mutual funds.
Right, right. And in fact, अगर वैसे करना है तो anyways that thing which you just said, what you do, कि कोई भी theme like you said at the moment commodities are doing it, so you are allocating money there rather
Correct.
than कि again वो situational probably होता होगा, right? It's not all the time because it's
Correct.
not all the time कि हर जगह आप हर जगह ऐसा move मिल रहा है, right? This gold and silver
Correct.
kind of moves were rare.
Rare.
So, and I think that's why that idea of doing momentum and themes, it may not yield a great result, and reason is this. हो सकता है हर साल कोई 2-3 theme perform ना करे, so it may not justify the cost of churn probably.
Yeah. And besides to answer this question, अगर आपको यही करना है तो आप you can do it in stocks, generate 27-30% CAGR ना, इसको उस पे क्यों कर रहे हो?
All right. All right. I think one of the greatest lesson of this live stream would be people will not be sorting mutual fund just based on returns from now on, probably if they follow this advice. And that itself covers a lot of question actually, which I had in my mind.
Also, one more advice probably would be the fact that don't fill your coffers with 12-15 schemes. Just in a universe of 500 stocks, 50 basically captures all the alpha, and so you should not have more than two mutual funds.
Okay, all right. All right, just my final question, and it is very general kind of question. Uh, so, you said that like after having certain corpus, you should be switching to something beyond long, just plain vanilla long, right? Uh, is there any framework or a rough idea that people can follow it in terms of age? Like people get their first job at 22, and assuming they are like at the moment we are being told, right, do SIP till 30 or something, like sorry, for 30 odd years till age 50, right? So my question is very simple. uh, is there any idea to apply this framework, like when we move out of this plain vanilla long, in terms of age, like any study
So,
you have done
so
or
I'll
just
give
a
you an
rough
answer.
framework?
Yeah, so I don't know the answer to the age part, Sumit, to be honest. Again, because age से ना आप segregate नहीं कर सकते. There can be a 25-year-old guy who has so many dependents, and
Okay.
he's the sole bread earner, and उसके ऊपर responsibilities इतनी ज़्यादा हैं. And there can be a 80-year-old person who's basically a vagabond, who can basically splurge everything. उसे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता because he's got generational wealth. So age is probably not the way you should do it. I will shamelessly plug my upcoming webinar here for people who have accumulated the lump sum amount. They should learn trend following. They should know an exit plan on their existing portfolio. And so on August 16th, we are basically conducting a 2-hour masterclass on trend following, which will cover a lot of ground. One of the ground would be, if you have mutual funds, how to time those mutual funds for an exit. So that will hold them in good stead. This is my two
All right.
cents. Age ke
All right.
basis pe, I'm not really sure.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, there are multiple variables. Age is just one of them, not the core. All right. So I'm adding your Twitter account here. In case, I mean, we have covered a lot of questions. In case you are still having more queries, you can connect. Uh, I'm pinning this here. Yeah, I have pasted it here, and you can follow sir from this website. Uh, Follow here and ask your question, and yeah, that's all. We have covered rest of the things. Uh, yeah, all right, Manish sir. Like that was insightful. Uh, we covered a lot of things and some interesting answer to normal questions actually. Like when people assume it will be just a general question, general answer, right? So we got those outputs for sure, and we would love to have you on the show again. And thanks for your time.
This was wonderful, Sumit, and I must congratulate you on a wonderful job that you're doing. And I'm not just saying it randomly. See, I've seen this kind of a setup in US where you have a casual, candid conversation. It's a refreshing thing to see that happen in here, because usually on business channels, you see faces and pretty dry faces. It's like ass up there, uh, a pole up their ass or something. This is pretty nice. You're very candid, and this was fun.
Thank you. Thank you. We would love to have you on the show again. Thank you and have a good weekend.
You too. Pleasure to be here, and I'll love to come again. Yeah.
All right. So probably we just had the longest guest
Yes.
session, and it was important considering we covered so many angles from SIPs. Okay, Dhanesh is missing again. Let's wait for him.
Yeah. So I think that was
Yeah.
super insightful from Manish, giving such unique answers that also live for such basic questions is a skill and an art, I would say, both.
Yeah, I mean, so
Yeah,
many
I mean,
new
so many new
insights.
insights. because everyone's tired of hearing the same stories, right? Ki SIP, this, like he gave a good outlook. Like I think my favorite point was that dollar cost averaging, like how many people are buying IT
Hmm.
and how you should have some kind of debt allocation or structure, like available funds to take care of when there's blood on the street. Otherwise, जो खून बह रहा है वो आपका ही है. I think that was my favorite part.
Right.
Right.
Again, you should
Again, you
have
should have
that
that
gunpowder to deploy.
gunpowder to deploy.
Yeah. So what do you think we should cover next now?
In fact, I
In
just
fact,
want
I
to
just want to
check sound
check
from my end.
sound from
I'm
my end. I'm
getting certain
getting
issue.
certain issue.
I will do one
I
thing.
will
I
do
will
one
exit
thing.
it
I will
and
exit it and
join it again.
join it again.
So we'll have Sumit back again, and till then we have to cover a lot of stuff now, which is around 10,000 crore of IPOs hitting the market in the next fortnight. Eight of them are coming in one fortnight, out of which RD industry is already closed. And now we have Technocraft, Leap, Dooth, Molbio, Milky Mist, Shiprocket, and Bihari Lal Engineering coming up. So, what do you think of this IPO boom?
I'm just raising money to invest in a lot of them. I just, it's like it took me few years to get my first IPO. Okay, like the first IPO which I experienced was that IRCTC in 2019 when I was in college, and I think those days, we used to plan those, trips to, Himachal or Uttarakhand, and it used to cost somewhere close to 6, 7,000, 8,000, college trips. And that day, like when I got to know, like there is certain thing where you don't need to wait for 10 years to double your money or multi-bagger stock, and it's just, IPO is coming, just invest in 3 days. I shared it with everyone. I think in next 3 odd years, I shared it with probably 30 people in my circle. Like, there is a thing called IPO, but it took me probably 3 years to get my first IPO, and that was heartbreak. IRCTC, I think, turned 14,000 to 36, 30 odd thousand probably, and I could not get it. But that was my first, you can say, um, blood. You can say, like, I got hooked to this IPO thing, and again, I will be doing the same thing. I don't even know the fundamentals of a lot of these companies, but who doesn't like free money? Like,
Yeah, I
that's
think
my opinion.
everyone comes here for free money only, right? And without understanding anything other than one number, which is GMP, right? No one cares of what the company is going to do even 1 minute after listing. Like most people I know sell it on pre-open. But we have a different kind of issue next week, which is how do we sort out funds, right? Because there are 7 IPOs that are opening up, and most of them are overlapping. So the way to go about it is we divide it into two sets, where we have the first set of IPOs that are closing on 11th and 12th August, which is Leap India, Technocraft Ventures, Dooth Transmission, and Molbio Diagnostics. Those funds that will be locked here cannot be used interchangeably. By what I mean by that is, if I'm applying in Leap India or Technocraft, I cannot use the same funds for Dooth and Molbio because the funds will open up after these IPO closes.
Hmm.
Then we have a second set of IPOs, which is Milky Mist and Bihari Lal, which are closing on 13th and 14th. So you can use the funds that you're using for Leap India, Technocraft, and Molbio in Milky Mist and Bihari Lal. So, like bifurcating these into two buckets or two sets is the ideal way to understand how to allocate the funds here.
So, in case people are not aware, Dhanesh is pretty famous on X for making money from IPOs, and not just from listing gains or those kind of things, even trading things. And I think even you just got that IPO, right? What was the name? MV Electro System or something?
So I think India Money Live has got Indo MIM, Caliber Mining, MV Electro, and Manipal. So it's been a crazy few months of IPO allotment. And again, these are not the 15,000 applications that we get. So the the kick is much more than what Sumit was getting during IRCTC.
Yeah. Yeah. So, in case he is not able to tell you directly, let me tell you this IPO was MV Electro System, I think, recently came. Odds were what? 1 out of 80 or something?
Yeah, 1 out of 88.
And he got
In
that.
BHNI, and
Yeah.
in small HNI it was 1 out of 300 plus, and yeah, 1 out of 100 in retail.
So, when I saw the odds, I just gave up. But he got it and made 1 lakh last week. That's the breaking news in this IPO rush actually. And he is milking it. And let's hope we all make money if these company perform well. Yeah, so a lot of IPOs next week coming up. You really need to invest carefully. Obviously, we are not suggesting these 8 companies just need to invest on gunpoint. Uh, the thing here is very simple. People usually wait for such season, but at the moment the issue is these dates are clashing for these companies, and you need to be again you need to focus a lot on raising fund, like how will you be raising funds, right? So that's the crux in the story.
So, do you have any recommendations of how you're going to raise your funds, or like how are you going to allocate your funds? Are you going to apply for all, or you're going to be avoiding some due to lack of funds?
I did certain calculation. I think out of 8, I don't want to recommend them obviously, but based on size and hype, I will be applying in probably 5 to 6 of them. So that's the case. So on big HNI, I need to raise 40 lakhs in the worst case, and let's see how it goes. And let's hope we get it. I mean, after doing all this, and let's hope we get these
So,
IPOs.
so what Sumit is saying in BHNI is basically you have to apply to increase your odds in lots of 10 lakh. So instead of 15,000 or 2 lakh, your best odds are usually applying HNI category applications of only 10 lakh, wherein your odds are almost one fourth of what is there in normal HNI, and usually in line with retail, but the amount of application amount that you get allotted is almost 15 times of what you get in retail. So your ideal case is having IPOs that have decent issue size and a good chance of listing at decent premiums, because when issue size is more, your odds are much higher. So like MV Electro and others have odds of 1 is to 88 or 1 is to 90 because the issue size is just 300 400 crore. But when you have companies like Leap India, Doot that have issue size of upwards of 2,000 3,000 crores, your odds of allotment also increase drastically. So in case someone has shortage of funds, I think instead of giving stock recommendations, I would say you should go for issue size of the companies in case you have confusions. Like
Right.
just like if you're stupid, like you could say a stupid blank no brainer application. It should be that.
And one more thing, like I have just one complaint from IPO these days. I mean, anyways, IPOs are like national lottery scheme for everyone, and people usually make money out of them based on gray market premium. I mean, we don't really want to pretend we are the fundamental expert. We dig into those documents of the company. What's the business outlook of business for next 10 days. Look, any simple retail investor is just looking to make money in next 3 days. That's the entire goal of the IPO. I don't really care whether this company solves the cancer issue. That's a different set of problem. If I will be having cancer, or anyways cancer issue should be solved. But in this case, I'm looking for the companies which has a tendency to go up after 3 days on their listing day. That's the entire focus. And honestly, like I think I'm tracking markets for 7 years. I haven't really seen companies getting listed below gray market premium. There has been some cases, for sure. I mean, obviously, uh, the only one that I can recall is that SBI cards, which
Yeah.
happened in 2020, March 2020. But the story behind this was really crazy. So, you know, the entire story goes like this. SBI had just one or two company. One is their State Bank of India share, normal company, and I think they also had this SBI Life Insurance. And then this third company was coming, and excitement was everywhere. This SBI cards, which is the credit card company of the SBI. Everybody wanted to get these IPOs. I think even the premium was close to 15 odd percent, and the size was huge. And those days, IPO was not about 3 days. It used to take 5 to 7 days to for your entire allotment and other things. Now the timeline is really just 50% of it. Every retail investor applied for this IPO. During this window, I told you the window was 5 to 7 days those days. Prime Minister Modi announced the lockdown, and we witnessed COVID, right? And market suddenly crashed. And people who were praying, that we should get this IPO somehow, big size, but gray market premium is indicating 15% opening or something. When that stock got listed, it made just, I think it was listed minus 10 odd percent. That's the famous case that I can tell you in my story so far. So it's we can clearly say it's a national lottery scheme for investors at the
Yeah.
moment.
So we have a question. If I apply 10 lakhs in BHNI, I will get only 2 lakhs. Is it right or wrong? So Yogesh, that is absolutely right. So what they do is they treat your BHNI application as 5 applications of 2 lakh each. So you're just improving your odds of allotment, but the allotment that you can get in case of oversubscription is 2 lakh. But in case like Manipal or other cases where you apply for 10 lakh in case of undersubscription, you get the full allotment of 10 lakh, which is called a firm allotment.
Right. And honestly, like when I started making money out of college and all, I used to have 2 lakhs for application, and I have applied so many times. I just didn't get it. I think this SHNI category is the worst in terms of odds of allotment, right?
I think
Even
they should
retail
change
gets
the
it.
definition of HNI first.
Yeah, and that's one important complaint like I have. Honestly, we have seen everything going up, right, in last 7 8 years. I don't even know what's the history of this 14,000 application for retail. It's been just 14,000 for years now. Like, I think we really need to think, can we raise it to 25,000? Like,
Yeah.
it should be inflation adjusted, right? It cannot be 14,000 in 2026 and it used to be 14,000 in 2019. And if some investor who is in the markets for last 10 odd years, like, we would love to see your opinion on this. Like, what was the amount in 10 years ago or 15 years ago? It doesn't make a lot of sense.
And
Even
they should also change that definition of HNI. I don't think 2 lakh is high net worth individuals anymore. It should be increasing that amount as well.
yeah, and in fact, the big HNI, they have categories for HNI also. So if you invest 10 lakhs in one company, you are suddenly categorized as big HNI investor. And the thing here is 10 lakh is just what, $10,000, right? And the number has been same for years. So I think this change should be there, at least on retail level, if not on HNI level. So people get some money, I mean, which they can spend on good things, right? Nowadays, I think people are fed up with this 14,000 application making 4 5,000. People are investing money in markets. So I think regulators or whoever controls this, they can raise it to 25 or 30,000 for sure. So at least when you get the allotment, you are making some, at the moment I call it date money. Whatever you get out of this retail allotment is just enough you can spend on your dates. On 30,000, maybe some mini outing or staycation, bunch of other things.
And out of that also one dish will be from our tax ministry because 20% will be taken by them, right? So your date money also one dish amount is going to them.
Yeah,
So
so
in
you
a
cannot
hand,
buy dessert or something maybe.
yeah. So also like I was getting a lot of questions regarding which company, like if you have to just point out one company out of this, I cannot do that, but I can tell you like Milky Mist is one company I was looking at, especially because we discussed in earlier episodes here as well how whey protein and other uh, value added products out of milk are like the future, and how it's going under a lot of changes the industry, where there's an emerging sector of whey and cheese and paneer that is coming up. I think we had Tejas earlier on this episode, I think episode 3, where he spoke about how whey is made from cheese and how imported whey is what comes to it. Like, we need imported whey. But Milky Mist is actually one interesting play where you could play the protein theme, and it's like number one in paneer in private sector and number one in cheese in the south. And it is said to be like having the best margins and all distribution and sales out of all the listed milk companies. So that is one theme, if someone would like to want to understand, like to understand from these, would be Milky Mist, because milk and protein is evergreen here.
Yeah, but that's good for investors and all. Honestly,
Yeah,
I'm gonna treat it as this lottery for,
but you will
you
you
know,
will get, you have chances of allotment also, because the issue size is 1600 crore here.
or do they have a quota for guys who are buying whey protein or those kind of things? They should have this, if you are hitting gym or those kind of things. All right.
Correct. So we also have this company called Shiprocket. So I would like to talk about that, where I was reading the document which Sumit was saying that people don't read. So if you see here, I have highlighted two companies which are basically VC funds. So we have this theory, right? IPOs are exit liquidity for private equity, venture capitalists, and promoters, and retail are providing that exit liquidity. But in this case, it is a bit different, where two institutional investors are exiting the position and booking losses in this IPO. And this IPO is Shiprocket. It opens next week at an issue size of 97. And as you can see, LR India Fund, which is Lightrock, has its average cost as 134, whereas Moore Strategic Ventures has its average cost as 144. So they are actually booking losses in this IPO and taking cuts of around 30%. And Lightrock is the largest seller in this OFS that is there of Shiprocket at 270 crores, and they're booking a loss of almost 100 crores. So this has been a rare case that IPOs coming below entry price of VC funds, and mutual funds are actually fighting for better valuations for putting their money. I think we had a recent case of Zepto for these, where it was called off due to valuation concerns by domestic investors. So even Shiprocket is a similar case, where you are basically getting to buy the IPO at prices lower than the early investors.
Yeah, and but I just didn't get it. Why those guys are selling at loss? Like, what could be the reason behind it? Like, is the reason similar? Like, these kind of funds have a timeline to return money to their original investor or something? Why
Yeah,
would
so usually, so I cannot give a direct answer of why this particular fund is selling. We'll have to dig deeper into that. But usually it is because sometimes it happens that investment period ends of the fund. So like you can say with the AIF fund or something in India, you have only a 10-year life period. Like after 10 years, you either have to shift the funds to a continuation vehicle, or you have to sell those shares. But surprisingly, they're actually holding some shares and they are selling some parts. So they are basically trying to get some liquidity in the IPO, and they will continue to hold the remaining shares.
yeah, and seems like it's those kind of reason where maybe their original investors are probably looking like they need liquidity on urgent basis, because if it would have been like we want to dump the entire stake, then they wouldn't have been carrying those partial shares, right? Because if you are
Yeah.
investor, it's more of a liquidity constraint on these funds. That's why these guys are booking losses. That could be the wild guess, I think.
So, like we discussed, right? IPOs have been on this spree, and they have been known for, being a exit liquidity for promoters and everyone. So you can see the amount raised has been upwards of 1,50,000 crore in the last two financial years. And now it is picking up again this year because markets had been bad. So it's just 33,000 crore. but we expect the numbers again to boost up a lot from here. And surprisingly, the biggest winners in the IPO booms aren't, these PE and VC funds. They are these investment bankers and few of these research firms. So what happens is they are running kind of monopolies where, because of SEBI rules, these new age companies that are coming, they need a third party industry expert to write, one of the market sections in the documents that you were saying, like the DRHP and the RHPs. And investment banks don't do that work. So there are companies like Red Seer, which has become like a default and has almost a monopoly in new age IPOs, where they write the industry reports for companies like Lenskart, Pine Labs, Wakefit, Zepto, Grow, Nika, Misho, all of them. And they've created a good niche where, only these companies are going to just Red Sea because of the expertise. And they have crossed around 145 crores out of this business. And yeah, this niche is something that is like this IPO boom is benefiting them also, where you're seeing a lot of new startups, like the first round of startups of India, the original startups are getting listed. And I think we had Aryan talk about it when in his episode that, just the first wave of startups that are coming. So it's not just the promoters and PE and VC people that are benefiting, it's also the investment bankers and a lot of these consulting and research firms that are benefiting.
Fair enough. And this chart, what we are seeing here is how many, like how much money companies have really raised via IPOs across financial years. So, okay, I mean, it's just going up with just minor dips, I think. In FY 2016-17, 28,000 crores. And even in financial year 2020, which had COVID, we raised 31,000 crores. And even in last financial year, it was 1,78,000 crores. That's insane amount of money, or you can say, who is absorbing, like we are absorbing this liquidity, right? In the
Yeah.
name of lottery, but we are giving exit to people at the moment.
Yeah, and I don't think it's stopping anytime soon because more and more companies become mature. Everyone is looking for an IPO, right? And this is not just, main board, even SMEs are going undergoing such a similar boom, right? Everyone you talk to who are running these SME firms, they all want to get listed and, take some money off.
Yeah, I mean, there is a saying, never waste a bull market. So
Yeah.
why not? Even private companies, they should not be missing bull markets. I think the entire startups and IPO started with Paytm, Zomato, right? A few years ago, I think 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Paytm, Zomato,
Paytm has
Nika.
disappointed people, but Zomato has actually done really well. It was compared to
Tomato.
tomato, it was probably around 50 rupee or something. At the moment, Zomato is easily it's a nifty company right now, and I think over 300 rupees at the moment it's trading,
Yeah, I think
way
even the
above its.
company itself has grown a lot in sales, right? It used to be around 4-5 thousand crores, it's 20,000 crores. So it's not like it was that it's like one of the most iconic startups that are coming out of our country. And I mean, I can't live without Zomato, so it says a lot.
And let's have opinion like from viewers, like what are the IPOs you got recently, and what are the
Yeah, I think
companies you are looking forward this week?
we can take some questions from the live viewers and which IPOs are you looking at? Which ones are you avoiding?
And
And
which has been your biggest winner so far?
IPO winners. Yeah.
Like, can you recall your which one was like
Yeah,
where
I
you
have had
made
so
most
many
money?
IPO listings recently. Allotments I cannot recollect, but LG was there, then Misho was there. There's MV Electric Electro system of 60% gains in 2 days was good. But
Yeah,
yeah, there
you
have
you are the
been.
kind of person who just suffer from success in IPOs, right? So I
I
get
have
it.
the
It's
SEBI
a hard
connection
question.
to get allotment.
Yeah, it's a hard thing for you to answer this.
But now I
My
think this time I won't get because everyone is looking at my allotment. So I don't think I will end up getting any allotments out of these 7, 8.
and for me it was, I think, MobiQuick, where I made some,
Oh
I
yeah,
think, 1,30,000 odd, I think. But that's how I play IPO, honestly. Like, my theory is very simple. You keep on applying and just hope you will get one or two every year. And I'm not the kind of person who really get excited these days, or who is the person who is searching for allotment at 12 o'clock. You know, those sites of registrar keeps getting crashed and everyone is behind us. I simply assume I will be getting 2, 3 IPOs maybe every year if I just keep on applying. That's the maths I follow, and
same.
I,
Actually, I didn't even check MV Electro
yeah,
allotment. I woke up and my father told me that we got allotment, and I didn't even check because the odds were 1:90.
yeah,
And
and
yeah, it
it's more
doesn't
like
make
for
sense
us.
spending too much time for
Yeah,
checking.
yeah. I get it. That excitement phase is always there when somebody starts investing, right? So it was there, but at the moment, it's like we will be applying in series of IPO, and then boom, we will get maybe 2 or 3 in 1 year, and if you are lucky, maybe more. But that's the average case we are looking at.
So we have got a comment that I really support you. It should be 30,000, 3 lakh and 15 lakh for retail SHNI and BHNI applications. Yeah, I think that would be a fair number.
Yeah, at least if you cannot raise HNI number, but definitely, I mean,
Retail
retail
should
is
be 30.
not that poor that it's just even less than $200 from global standard, 14,000 rupees. I mean, um, that's like, what's the minimum wage pay in India? What's that number? Like, I think I will just get it for you. And yeah, it is like, uh, yeah, even like I can say this for Haryana actually. Uh, the official minimum daily wage rate for labor in Haryana for unskilled worker is 585 rupees. If you work for 30 odd days, you will qualify for this retail investor. I mean, that's why, like, you need to increase this amount, 14,000. So even that guy is able to make 18,000, and we are talking about minimum wages, right? There is no point of keeping this retail investor uh, amount as close to 14,000. It should be raised. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And guys, I
We'll
will
just
be
take a
joining
few.
you in few minutes. Just allow me 2 minutes, and till then, Dhanesh
We'll be
will be.
taking questions.
Yeah, yeah. I will be back in a while. And yeah, we are crossing 2 hours
5:50.
7 minutes. Yeah, and that's gonna be one of the longest streams. So yeah, just a short break, and I will be back.
And we have 550 plus viewers. And now we'll be seeing, going back to the IPO list. So again, we got questions regarding if you have to avoid, which ones would you avoid? I think it's simple, right? You avoid Technocraft Ventures and Bihari Lal and probably Shiprocket in case of lack of funds, because these are the smaller issue sizes, and in all probability you will not be getting any allotment at all from in these. And like the odds of allotment in even BHNI will be in upwards of 1 is to 50, 1 is to 60. So yeah, in case of saving funds, it's better to apply for the rest. So we'll take any other questions we have on X. So we have got regarding Leap India. So yeah, Leap India is a unique company actually. It's has no listed peers in India, and globally also there are only two, three companies like it. And such IPOs actually end up doing
better than the rest. Like we had Indo MIM last week where that has no listed player, no anchor, like you cannot anchor any valuations to anyone because there's been no such case ever before. So yeah, such companies end up doing well, and this is also, I think, India leader in asset pooling and material handling equipment. So yeah, I think Leap India is and Milky Mist are like top two companies to look at next week. Again, the conditions are good, so in all probability, the listing will end up being good. But again, there's no guarantee. So any other questions, you can drop it in the comments. So we don't have any other questions. So I think we can take the next topic till Sumit returns. So our next topic is the LIC OFS. So the government has sold 31,000 crore of LIC. Again, there was a OFS last week and it was, I think, fully subscribed. And we are again talking about retail investors who subscribe to them. And the same story was again at the IPO and 4 years ago, which are still in losses for everyone who got the allotment. And that time, I think all the so we have Sumit back.
Yeah, good to have good break. Yeah, let's move on to the news story, I think.
Yeah, so 31,000 was sold by government again to retail investors and institutions. People who subscribed to them during the IPO are still under the water, right? So what are your thoughts on that? Thank you to
I don't
providing
know.
exit liquidity.
Yeah, that's the job of retail investor. I mean, you can call it what national duty of every retail investor to give exit to such companies and keep holding bags forever. And this IPO was
Yeah,
actually very much highly promoted. I can tell you this one thing. Uh, all IPO usually opens for 3 days. This IPO was also open on Sunday. Like you could have applied on Sunday,
yeah,
I think, or Saturday. It was open for 4 days. And in
yeah.
4 years, it has given minus 5% return. So,
But I think that's the whole listed life insurance basket, public and private, I think. And they have broadly underperformed, I think, Nifty over 5 years. And that includes LIC, HDFC Life, SBI Life, and I think ICICI Prudential and LIC mainly. And I think all of them have disappointed all shareholders.
yeah, it's just people don't expect such disappointment from government. That's one of the reason why people expect a lot from LIC, and LIC is the kind of safe status symbol in India's household. You remember? Do you have any relative who must have sold some policy to your father or uncle? Like that's the common story in case of
Yeah.
LIC. that
But
is
I think
one.
they were the same people who were selling the shares at IPO also. Like go subscribe, buy.
And like we have this trend as of now, like young people are working on side hustle and building their website apps, small projects, and bunch of other things. LIC policy used to be side hustle of boomers, honestly, like selling it to each other. There were so many such cases. This was their idea of passive income, you can say, or semi-passive income on weekend. Okay, you should buy this policy. Market was not there. SIP was not the kind of thing. So it used to be some I would say Jeevan Labh scheme or those kind of things कि ये ले लो 20 साल बाद you will be getting this much, insurance भी हो जाएगा. So many people made a lot of money in commissions, and at the moment shareholders are not making money, and government is also selling further stake in this company to raise 31,000. They raised 31,000 crore this week itself. So
Yeah.
that's the story
So
with LIC.
they divested 6.5% of LIC, where there was 2.5% plus a green shoe option of 4%, and they exercised that option at a discount of 10 to I think 11% of the trading price, where I think it was 430 just before the OFS was called, and then it is I think at 382 the OFS price, and now it cuts the government stake from 96.5 to 90% because it has to meet the minimum SEBI requirement of shareholding of public shareholding by May 2027.
Mm, makes
And if you
sense.
think about it, 31,000 crore is actually a huge number because we had discussed earlier, right? The NSE IPO, the Geo IPO, like it's in those leagues where it's upwards of, that's the amount of liquidity that is there to give you some idea.
And to add on to this thing, like Manish is still watching our stream, so thank you very much. Yeah, so he said like, do we know the returns on these Jeevan Anand and those kind of policies? It's 4 to 6% CAGR with a pathetic life cover.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point. I mean, people who actually made money from these Jeevan Anand policy and bunch of other names are the uncles who sold it
Commission price.
on weekends as their side hustle. Yeah, जीवन
Yeah.
के साथ भी जीवन के बाद भी. Yeah. One
I
of the
think that
most
was the
trusted brand in India, probably LIC, after SBI maybe.
Yeah, and I think the LIC IPO made sure, right? Because all the investors are, I think now, like there was a thing, right? LIC IPO'd in, I think, May 2022 at around 950. Then there was a bonus where the cost, IPO adjusted cost comes to around 480, 475. And LIC is now at what, 390? So basically, everyone is in loss. So whoever got the IPO is technically going to take it जीवन के साथ भी and जीवन के बाद भी, these
Yeah,
shares.
yeah. It's can we call it LIC as National Bag Holder Scheme? Like everybody, and one more thing, you were mentioning that there will be like, so it's not a, just to tell you the reality of the story, it's not the kind of selling which government is doing because they think LIC is just a shit company these days. It's just a mandate is there, like one shareholder or the promoter of the company cannot hold more than 25%, more than
75.
75%, more than 75% of the company, and they need to reduce it in a staggered manner, you can say. So, and I can tell you in next 6 years, we will see 15% more sale in LIC from government because there is a deadline also, which is May 2032, where government needs to trim their holding and bring it lesser than 75%. So we will be seeing 15% stake being sold again from the government of India, and again we will be the ones who will be giving them exit liquidity. That's the case.
Yeah. And I think even the CEO had to come out and say, again in the next few years, we will not be doing a OFL, don't worry, because I think they have got runway till I think 6 more years now to reach 75%.
And are there any shareholders watching this? What do you feel about it?
I
And
think
what
I
are
have
your
like
hopes with this stock?
friends like who don't get any IPO, but he's got like Paytm, LIC, and all the discount listings, and they're still holding it. You always have those guys.
And it's really hard to do this when uh, I mean in your friend circle when you are known for these IPOs and all. You really need to look after your friends in this case.
I mean, they're not too aware of what is happening on X and all, luckily. So,
In fact, I can tell you one thing. Like in 2022 or 2023, when Paytm IPO came, uh, I got message from my batchmate. Nobody asked me like whether they should invest in Paytm or no. But on listing day, I got a text from one of my colleague, and he said like, what to do with this company. And I think I received the message after 2 odd years after passing out from college, and I was like, did you ask me when you were applying, and what was the rationale behind this? And he said, the founder is really good. He interacts on Twitter and all, Paytm founder, and we thought it's a name company. How can it go into loss? But so many weird things can happen in market. So that's a lesson from such IPOs. And in LIC IPO, the same thing has happened. Let's see what happens from here on.
Yeah, and surprising how people are subscribed to the OFS. Like they have not learned the lesson, I think, of the stock not doing well, and everyone has subscribed to it. Let's see. We cannot predict what will happen, but yeah, they have been under the
I,
water. It's more
I,
like they're betting
I,
again.
I think I read it somewhere like retail got this OFS price at some 370 or something. Was there some discount? And
Yeah,
so those guys are making some money, probably 5-6%, 5%, right? So
that is provided by the time they get the share. The share is above that price.
okay, so it will take some time to like.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's going to take some time to get those shares, and you have to hope that the price is above that.
Okay, I thought that's the only win, but seems like even that is dicey.
That is the risk. Yeah. So,
Okay.
hi Akash. We'll be taking any other questions you all have regarding IPOs, LIC, OFS.
All right, I think let's move on to the next thing. I think everybody is aware of LIC uncles and now LIC shareholders.
Yes. So I think my favorite segment again, clown move. What do you think is the clown move this time?
Yeah, so the clown move is unfortunately India's one of the biggest story of India, which has been UPI. And there are some discussion going on that UPI will not be free. Don't get shocked. I mean, you don't really need to pay from your pocket. I mean, that's what government is saying. It will be the business who will be paying some amount on providing UPI service to their customer for all the transaction which will be above 2000 rupee. So that's the ongoing discussion which is happening. And uh, yeah, that's the story. And UPI is like one of the biggest win of India, I would say. And seems like we will be paying certain amount of money for using this service in the future. I mean, obviously government is saying you will not be paying directly, but again, if you are saying some businesses will be paying those transactions, obviously businesses are not stupid, right? They will be passing on that transaction charges onto you in some way
Yeah.
or another, right? So that's the main story right now around the
I
UPI.
mean,
And that's proper clown
UPI
move on it.
is almost 90% of India's digital transactions right now. And the government of India, NPCI, and others, they say, it stays free for consumers and small merchants. P2P transfers will still be free, where I send you money, there'll be no charges. Kirana stores, street vendors will be outside what we call these MDR charges,
Mm-hmm.
because they are saying 95% of these UPI transactions are under 2000, so it is anyway going to be untouched. But the whole point is most of the volume is in those 4%, which is the above 2000. The value component is so high that it will be having a big impact. And their thesis is that because 10 years they have been putting in investment, security, and all the infrastructure behind building this entire network, they need to have some kind of benefits for the people who have been putting in the amount in like amounts, because otherwise they'll become financially unstable, making profits for them ahead, like the merchants that are there, like Paytm, Pine Labs, and all.
Yeah, but I mean, I was just going through this data, NPCI, which is National Payments Corporation of India, right? These guys made 1500 crore profit in FY25. So I don't see any such, when we talk about likes of BSNL or MTNL, that we really need to support these companies, so we are hiking, we never talk like this, that BSNL will be raising their internet price or those kind of things, because those companies are, in losses. And here we have UPI, which actually played a very important role in I would say bringing a lot of offline cash transaction into a digitalized system where you can keep a track of money. I mean, even if government, let's assume government make losses from UPI, let's assume it. Still, consider it as a service fee uh, to have this ability of tracking so many transactions, right? Else, it would have been cash. So I don't see, I mean, how things are working here. Like,
So
and
I
one
think
more
I have
thing.
a different take here where, even you called UPI free. I don't think it was ever free. It was basically paid by everyone who was benefiting from UPI, right? So there were three components to this, which is the banks, they saved on, cash handling and, maintaining these ATMs, which was very costly. Second was government is saving on printing more money. So currency printing costs were lower. And these merchants that are there, they got a lot of data, right? And they got formal credit access, they could give loans. So these MDR charges are not going to earn these merchants a lot of money or be a big cost to them, but it's going to be like adding to the income that they're generating from these loans and credits that they were giving otherwise.
But I see another angle. I mean, I think this could have been just remain untouched. Honestly, there is no really not a huge. I mean, there are rumors that it is being forced by some US players, Google Pay and Phone Pay. So that's why government is taking such stance. Let's see how true it is. And I was going through this data
Yeah.
that average transaction was okay, not this one. Yeah. So it says that small merchants below roughly 1.5 crore turnover are reported as likely to remain exempt from this thing. So that's just for the large merchant, and again, it's not on your P2P as Dhanesh mentioned. It will be when you are going to for shopping in malls and all those kind of things.
So
But
just to give some background to that, so debit cards and all cost around 0.4 to 0.9% per transaction. Credit cards have 1 to 2% of MDR charges. So it's not like other forms of digital payments are free. It was just that UPI was the one which was the cheapest way to pay digitally, and other charges were still there, and it was a big part of a lot of these, you know, banks and merchants. And that's why the critics of the people are saying that there's the US pressure, because they were criticizing UPI and RuPay both for being free, and because of that Visa and Mastercard are facing a lot of issue, and India is now diluting the UPI to allow Visa and Mastercard to have a better like share in India. But I don't know how
right,
true that is, but
because
yeah.
because there has been insane growth in these RuPay credit cards actually
Yeah.
on RuPay network. So, and it is also connected via UPI. So that's one more thing. Like you can connect your credit card to your normal day to day. Let's assume you are just buying milk, 1 liter milk. Okay, 50 or 50, 60 rupee. You can pay this via credit card, and that is your RuPay credit card. And you can connect it to your I would say the UPI payment apps, right? So that could be one of the reasons. But the thing is, the combination of Geo, Internet Revolution, and this UPI, it has definitely changed a lot of things in India in last 10 years, I would say. Like Geo played huge role in bringing India online, and UPI played a huge role to make sure that there are businesses which are able to take payments from Indians via UPI. So,
Yeah.
like these two things, I would say, are like I would say key triggers. Like played really key triggers in building so many companies which just rely on this thing where you know customer will be able to pay online without having any friction, because that was not the thing. In fact, I can tell you one story. Uh, uh, I read this probably somewhere that Amazon probably don't do cash on delivery or those kind of things in USA. when Amazon came to India, like that was the first time I think those guys were doing, or like when Amazon expanded in India, they introduced this cash on delivery because those guys knew, like, or maybe in their studies they found out that India is not really used to making online payments, and at the moment, even if you buy, momos somewhere, just 40 odd rupee, 50 odd rupee, even in the, I would say, remotest areas, you are buying Maggie, in Himachal, in mountains, you are able to pay with UPI. So uh, these two things have actually changed uh, life of an average Indian in many ways. I'm talking about consumer and on business front also.
So I think the key thing here is why it's the clown move is that people are saying the merchant will pay, not you, but that is how it always starts. Merchants will pass it on to the consumers, and that I think is a no brainer. And like you can already see, like when you go on Flipkart and all, when you have when you're paying through card, debit or credit card, it comes payment handling fee. When you go on the breakup, you get payment handling fee, and you will now probably see shopkeepers, shop boards have 1 to 2% extra if you pay by UPI. Those boards are there. If you pay by card, you have to pay 100 rupees extra or 1% extra. The
And
consumers will
that's
have to pay.
why I'm saying it's not really beneficial. I mean, you will be losing a lot of track. I mean, I was just looking at this thing. If you see, look at the UPI transaction, monthly transaction. We are doing over 2,000 crore monthly transaction in 2026 via UPI. Credit card used to be around 10 crore 10 years ago. It is close to just 58 crore. And debit cards used to be over around 100 crores. Like debit cards are the instrument where you actually pay using your money, right? And nobody seems to be using debit card anymore. And that's that's the growth of UPI in India, like exponentially growth, and so many, I would say, second order, third order effect around this growth, honestly.
Yeah, I think
And
it's the hallmark of digital India, right? Biggest success I would say of digital India is UPI.
yeah, I mean, if you just remove the payment system, Digital India will be just a bunch of websites. That's all, right?
Yeah.
The only business we will be able to build online will be just websites where people visit, and then ads. We collect ad revenue from Google, all those kind of things. That's all. But we have auto pay, and we were talking about IPOs, right? You can apply IPOs using UPI,
Yeah.
right? It's so simple, right? And then I think nobody use debit cards anymore. It's clear.
True,
It's
true.
just enough, like
Probably
it's
just
just
maybe if
falling.
some of them have free entry in lounges. Otherwise, I don't think anyone is using.
Yeah, I mean, look at from 100 crore monthly transaction 10 years ago when people were not even so much aware or educated in India. Obviously, we have grown as a country, right? From 100 crore, it has slipped to just 10 crore per month. So, and I would say, when was the last time you visited ATM also?
ATM. Probably because it was raining a lot outside and I had nowhere to stop. I think I entered an ATM. I think that was the last time I went to an ATM. But to do a transaction, I don't remember. It
Yeah,
was
there is a
probably in
joke.
some foreign country where we had to use in emergency to get some funds. Otherwise, no ATM.
Yeah, like there is a joke these days. ATMs are just good AC shelter on the roadside. Like if you are feeling
Yeah.
too much heat, you can be inside ATM for a while, right? And nobody visits them there these days. Like I was going through this number. We will be publishing it on our X. I think we had, like, we are seeing decrease in the growth of ATM. Like
Yeah. It's down
nobody.
50% from the peak, actually. So banks are saving a lot of costs over there.
Yeah, because the core function of ATM was to actually give spending power to people, right? Of their own money. But there is a friction, right? You need to visit somewhere and insert the card and take care of it, and then you will be receiving cash. You will be coming back to home, and then suddenly people say, "आप अपना QR भेजो," right? एक second में बात खत्म. So obviously,
Yeah.
and one
Will
more
you
point,
will you
like
be okay to pay? charges on your UPI transactions, or will you shift to some other method?
I anyways use credit card honestly for transaction more than
No, but if
500
you
or
have to use your UPI, I know you do
no,
high
I will
value
not be paying
transactions.
any extra charges obviously, right? It should it should give some reward to me. I mean, I'm addicted to it. And one more story, right? People, when government says it is not being passed on to consumer, I will tell you one thing. There is a network alongside these Visa and Mastercard, so which is American Express. So American Express is the probably the only company which got this credit card network also and their own credit cards, right? And these guys usually charge higher fee in comparison to other cards on other networks, right? And there are cases like when you want to pay via Amex, you need to pay 2-3% extra. That's the image of American Express cards in India, and that's why it is not accepted everywhere. So one is you need to bring this network obviously, and not a lot of people have Amex cards, and people who even have these cards, uh, usually business entity usually ask for this 2-3% extra premium from card holders for making any transaction. That's something I have definitely observed. So in that case, people are still willing to pay because those guys are getting some reward points, or other benefits. Else, if it's just
I
plain
think,
vanilla, who
yeah,
will be paying it?
then
Nobody.
people will stop. And I think that's where the Rupee credit card with UPI kicked off, right? I think that was also a
Yeah.
master stroke.
And in fact, we expanded it to multiple countries. I think it works in Nepal probably UPI or
Yeah, I think we had heard Singapore, Nepal, and other countries.
yeah, like Singapore. I don't know whether it's live at the moment, but I think it's live in Nepal. Like there were talks to to give this technology to Sri Lanka also.
Yeah. So we have like three major players in this segment. It is PhonePe, Google Pay, Paytm. Which one do you use?
I'm a cred user, like cred
You're in the
UPI.
1% of India.
You can call it. Even those guys
Top
are having
1%.
just 1% market share.
So you are part of the top 1% of credit users.
But
I actually
one thing
use
I
Google
want
Pay.
to one thing I want to say about this data point is, it says PhonePe holds 46% market share in UPI payment system. Uh, but I don't see these PhonePe users around me. Like, what's the catch here? Like, who is using
So,
PhonePe?
so it's the tier 2. Everyone is using PhonePe.
Yeah,
So if
because
you get,
very rarely, I mean, I have this app on my mobile phone, obviously, but I just don't get it. Like, I usually, whenever I'm receiving payment from anyone, it's usually somebody using, Paytm or Google Pay. So it's like I have never met a, you know, passionate phone pay
PhonePe
users.
user.
But yeah, on data it says 46% people in India use phone pay. So that's almost 50%.
Yeah, but it's all tier 2, tier 3 is what all I had seen, like read somewhere where it's usually everyone, they have basically targeted the mass audience.
And even if you see, like, we are just talking about how PhonePe is not famous, but look at this number. In 2019, PhonePe had this market share of 34%, and Google Pay was leading in UPI
Yeah.
leading payments in India with 39%. At the moment, the market share of Google Pay is just 33%, while PhonePe got 46%. So I don't know how PhonePe is growing, but brilliant
But
if
yeah, if you see actually Google Pay and PhonePe are losing the market share a bit, like throughout the years, and these newer companies like Paytm, Creds, Navis of the world are eating up some small portion, even though it's very small, but yeah, they're eating up some share. I think whichever app gives some cashback or discount, people shift to that. Any kind of,
I think
incentive.
almost I think almost every single app claims make payment through us and you will be getting cashback. Nobody is getting
I get
and
cashback on Google Pay. Rupees
I don't know,
1, rupees 2, once in a while.
it's
Scratch card.
usually just scratch card. And I think, like, I use cred, and those guys are like, uh, pay via us and get rewards and all. And after making payment, it's usually some credit coins. I have some 20 lakh odd credit coins. I don't know what to do with them. Uh, and it's usually pitching free credit card as some lifetime opportunity, like lifetime free cards at lifetime opportunity. Like it's like you are getting access to this card because you made this payment and you are part of this exclusive. And when you just scroll through it, like everybody is getting that card for free.
Yeah. I think earlier it used to be that credit card was like a status symbol. I have Amex, I have some Biz Black card, metal card, but I think now it's also become
No,
a
no, no.
commodity.
No, Biz Black is still a brilliant card, honestly. Like I'm trying really hard to get it. It's just I get rejected all the time
I
because those
think
guys
that's again
don't
some
consider
perks
this.
you have for employment.
No, no, Biz Black is for business owners actually. Uh,
Oh yeah.
it's useful for
Tax.
making tax payment. Like I think on 6 lakh or tax payment, if you spread it nicely, 50,000 per month at the end of year, you usually get somewhere close to 1 lakh value for your flights and hotels. So that's one of the good card, honestly. Like the thing is, anyways, you will be paying taxes, right? So it's not like stay 10 nights here and then you will be getting free breakfast on 11th night. Breakfast is just a what is breakfast like? It's just calorie, right? It's just carbohydrates. Like why people why people consider it as some very special thing as per in terms of perk, right? But this black is definitely one of the great card in India for sure.
Yeah. So I think we had a longest stream and over 700 people joining us. I think that's a breakout stream this time.
Yeah, yeah. Stream was so
Thanks
long we
to
had to take breaks in between. But yeah, before wrapping it up, we want to give updates on what things we are doing. We are live on Instagram these days, so we have close to 798 followers now. Let's push it to, I would say, 800 in this stream itself. So I'm pasting uh, of link of our Instagram. So you guys, if you like everything, you guys can follow us there. And yeah, on Instagram we keep on sharing short form content around what's happening in markets or business. So do hit follow on this social channels also. Yeah, I have posted it. Apart from them, do consider to follow us on our X account, which goes with @India Money Live. We keep on sharing real-time updates. Uh, that's our X handle. I am pasting it in comments. And at the same time, before wrapping it up, we want your feedback. We want your opinion or things you want us to cover or any format, anything you want to discuss around what we discussed today or format or bunch of other things. We are open to it.
I think thank you to 715 people almost joining us. Yeah, that's amazing.
And that's on the day when we faced the tech glitch actually. We started late.
I think if that's the response, we should start a bit later every time. I think, yeah, we'll just wait for a few questions or feedback and then.
So we got one comment and it says next IPO when? Yeah, next week we will be having so many IPOs.
Deep India. So yeah, I think we could end today stream.
All right. Again, we
45
we will be
minutes.
assuming we did really well tonight, as there are no such feedback or So with that assumption, we will be closing our show for tonight. And thank you very much. And probably I think we definitely did one of the highest numbers today, 700 viewers, 722. Thank you very much for joining us on Saturday night and wishing you a very nice Sunday tomorrow. Enjoy it, and then life is back to the business on Monday, right? So we will see you next week. Till then, please follow us on our socials. We will be active and keep sending out feedback and messages. We will be sharing things from our end for sure to make sure you get value out of our content. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.